close that matchup was. But yeah, they've let their permaban through, and there was even, I think they even banned Split towards the end, which has been a great map for them. So they've taken it to Breeze. So if we get there, I think we've got one hell of a series on our hands, but definitely a bit of a peculiar veto for them.
It's a bit of a grudge match. KC obviously took FUT out of the running for Masters Madrid, and now FUT looked for revenge early on in the group stage. KC off to a great start, so are FUT, both dominating the early games. A good litmus test for who the stronger squad is this time around. I'm expecting a close series. I'm expecting all three. We can see here on this pistol round, the attack side of KC is under a bit of threat. They tried to take control on B. Maybe the idea to go back later on, and well, that's definitely the idea now after losing Tamazi and Martin. Tamazi being down means no Viper wall as well, so crossing out into this site could be difficult. The good thing is there's only one player here to defend, Tom.
Yeah, the bad thing is it's CNED. Now, he's got himself the wall still. If he wanted to try and sort of section... Oh, no, wait, no, he doesn't. Never mind. He bought armor.
He used the wall inside of...
He's just used it, yeah. He moved over to use it a minute ago and has just locked off that angle. So it means he can just hold on to some of those positions. And with 30 seconds left...
30 seconds
well, it's going to take them a little bit of time to even break through this if they wanted to. We've seen him be ever so deadly in these positions before, but for now, they are going to clear that spot. They know where he is, and the rotation's coming in for the rest of the team.
That wall's going to go down at some point. There it is. There's a player behind him. It should be an easy kill. CNED's turn, though, and he's caught Magnum. Narrate's caught in the open, attempting to make that pinch happen, and now the spike is down. It's another disaster for the attack. They tried to make something work. They thought they'd caught CNED in a corner, but he wasn't cornered. Able to come out on top foot. Don't lose a single player in the pistol. A strong start for the defensive side.
Yeah, and Andaluthia flawless to kick things off. Doesn't get much better than that. And normally they're the ones dishing out second round victories, so thankfully they should be all right to get things over the line. But this is the thing with FUT. I think we sort of underestimated them because of kickoff. We saw them lose to KC and Heretics and go, oh, well, that's them done. They're not going to be that great this season. Come back in, decimated Liquid, and obviously we then found out the KC and Heretics were actually two of the best teams in the entirety of EMEA right now. So this congestion could be interesting. CNED, well positioned, a chance to do some real damage, but, you know, he's got support.
Yeah, the backup is there, and mighty backup it is. Even a snake bite to close out the round. Big kills for Yedije, 3 away from a Viper's Pit early on.
Viper's Pit? Which would you rather have?
Hey, listen, I'll take either. And in the hands of these players, it doesn't matter. Just get those orbs stacked up, and now I think we'll be focusing more towards Yedije. I'm surprised Captain even bought a weapon. Why not play with the Classic after what we saw from him yesterday? He's able to crumble Liquid single-handedly with no credits invested. But now he's got a Vandal coming into this, and the surprise as we get back into the game, people might be shocked to see round 3, FUT have gone for an op. CNED has pulled it out right off rip on the Sage now. I'm excited to see his ideas with this. Straight up early peek. No one peeking just yet, and a nasty surprise awaits them, but it's a missed shot. KC can count their lucky stars.
This is where KC now may even just go for the classic strat, something that many have brought out in the past, of avoid CNED. It's a good one. It's one that normally saves you, but up against this FUT side, it's definitely been a little bit more problematic. Mr. Fallen himself, ever deadly. The pressure coming in. Martin over the top. The counter flash is good. Both blinded up by a Dizzy. But they are now going to look to wrap around. Spike will be going down. Nothing to be stopping that. And now it has to be a retake with weaker weapons.
Some advantages maybe if they can force those close-range fights. But it looks like they're out in the open. Mr. Fallen's good for the first, but their numbers are quickly thinning out. Mr. Fallen shot in the back with no chance. And CNED, he dropped out of heaven to take the fight with the op. That's a big weapon left on the floor, and it looks like it will remain there. Nobody from the attacking side brave enough to pick up the attack side op. Big loss credits-wise, but because of the early economy with FUT, they're still going to balance out evenly well. It's just CNED that's going to struggle.
Yeah, I guess the thing is he'll probably just play close in hookah, or that's the one thing you can kind of get away with in Bind, is having one weaker weapon. We've seen it many times with the Judge. It can work out, but yeah, really clean stuff from KC as well, especially when things got a little bit shaky. I think this team have proven themselves to be able to weather the storm versus some of these, well, more aggressive teams. And I feel like this squad of FUT definitely falls within that bracket already. They're going to force Captain off that aggressive position. You can see the wall's been utilized just to try and hold off Hookah, at least for the moment. And the rest of the team are all going through B long, but this might just be for orb control.
And we've already got the paranoia down, but flashes from Magnum still exist. Dizzy up top, there's a deep flash from Magnum, keeping these players trapped in, allowing individual fights to be taken. The KC are winning again and again. Yedege and Mr. Fallen, the last ones to try and fight their way back through. You can see Yedege still on the other side of the map. That was a quick take from KC. You can see why they didn't take the op there. They need their guns for charging down that site, and it's worked out very well. An almost unlosable post plant. Mr. Fallen does well to find the first. The snake bite a little deep. Oh no, it's not a little deep. In fact, Martin was hit by it, so he's easier taken down. But a 1v2. And Shin eventually closes out. Okay, KC.
We never see Shin.
No.
It's another Shin triple kill
Where's
that we never
Miniboo?
got to see.
Where's Miniboo when you need him?
Oh god, he is cursed. He is cursed. But no, again, something I want to highlight as well going into this matchup is change compositionally. This is something that fairly different from what we've seen in the past, which is bringing back in that Gecko for Narrate, moving him off of what was a Raze and not having the Yoru anymore. So they've gone for, obviously, less of a double duelist, but normally you got that information from the Yoru anyway. But I think Narrate's Gecko is one of the best we've seen in the entirety of the VCT. So good with this agent, so good at getting those players blinded up, and the combination of having that double flash is also going to be that little bit more difficult to deal with.
They're ready. They're waiting for this push to come through. A wise play by the side of KC, and the reward is there. Paranoia, though, that's going to make it all. Tamazi so low, and there was nowhere to go. Pushed from every side. That's making great use of a low buy from the side of FUT. They've claimed a weapon, and CNET's claimed a kill. That plant might be undeniable, but if CNET could survive, oh, they'd have the numbers. Still, Thrash ready to go for Mr. Fallen, and he's legging it.
And the rate.
He's on his way around to long, presumably to use that to break his way through. The time is still good to make this work.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can see Narrate has fallen back to a position where he can use his as well. Both teams are basically having the potential idea and already stopping it from getting any real value. Now becomes the opposing side, as we are going to see the TP. Nice idea from out of Captain, but not quite dealt with quick enough. The defuse is already happening. Halfway through, the spam is going to at least drop it, but for now, Mr. Fallen needs this kill, and he needs it immediately. He does manage to get it. I don't know if there's going to be enough time. I think he's just about got it over the line. Mr. Fallen pulling off the Red Bull clutch.
Unbelievable play. Even uses that smoke to isolate the duels. It was a little deep, just thrown out in panic to try and allow that push up to deny the defuse. And wow, it ends up backfiring massively. Still, you have to commend FUT for coming in at the start of this round so well. They played the latter stage perfectly, but early on, the idea is to push up, to crunch these plays. You could see the KC were ready for that kind of aggression, but couldn't deal with it. But masterful play in the clutch from Mr. Fallen. Reading their positions perfectly. And now 3-2. Viper's Pit online, off rip. The defensive side back in control of things. And it looks like KC are they're not going to go into it.
No way. No way. Shin's actually just TP'd straight in, and because of everything going on the site, I don't even know if they're going to realize Yedege has somehow managed to peek his way that little bit further forward, surviving just outside, but he's down to just 20 HP. Has to fall off this completely. And now Shin's position is just basically holding off any rotations.
He got back in the pit, but the B site is no longer the target. KC have realized how many players are coming their way, and there's the info. Krax knows if he's detected 2 players, they're on the rotate, they're pushing up. There's a lurk left behind by Martin to pick up stragglers as Heaven Control is sought after. Shin still with a smoke, but no paranoia to clear out these angles. Instead, they'll drop though, keep Heaven Control, I presume, and get a nice safe plant. Look, chopping up the site in a very different way.
Spike planted.
But FUT have positions all across the map. They're scattered, and the surprise factor could catch them a couple of kills. Although they've lost Mr. Fallen, lost their way back through, out of Captain, isolated and dealt with, and now it's impossible. As soon as Yedege falls, we realize Krax 1v4, surrounded. Best chance was just to do damage, and he doesn't even get that. KC with an answer right back.
Yeah, a really nice sort of wrap back around. I love the mid-round calls. This is something that we've got to give credit again to Magnum. Bear in mind, he is still a new IGL, someone who's only really been picking it up when being within this team, someone who's been under some pretty decent IGLs in the past, but the fact is just having the state of mind after you get the opener, after you get rid of the pit, to be able to just rotate back through, clear out the players, and just have yourself a plant on the other side of the map. Really well played from KC, adaptive in those mid-rounds. And while we're back to pistols again, Mitch, but, you know,
Out of captain's spot. You know, he's gone for the sheriff. I don't know why, Tom. Those right clicks were hit. They were precise. Let's see what he can do with the sheriff in hand. Already one has been shot as Cracks goes down. And the numbers on FUT are focused on the A site. They're again trying this pincer that worked so well for them before, but no value to be found. Instead, KC are going to the other side of the map. A Viper wall's blocking them out, but with the flashes they have, the Dizzy clears out most angles. Martine can see the rest, and they know it was a retake B setup now. So a nice, easy plant, and a post plant that realistically there's not that many dangers in. The Viper wall kind of means they have to keep some players on site, or it could get messy. Outside of that, I mean, it's unlikely FUT use the res here.
No, well, I'd say it's at 0 at this point because of where the player actually died. Cracks on the other side of the map. Again, though, trying to aggress off of it has given a fight to CNED. Ada Captain slowly encroaching. At this point, it's been so long that they kind of have to expect that he'll be here. Shin already watching. Magnum there alongside Narrate to clean things up, and it's not the prettiest of shots from Mr. Fallen either. KC, 4 players surviving, credits building, and they take themselves the lead.
Yeah, the attack side's starting to heat up now. That's 2 in a row from KC, and big investments in both those rounds from FUT. It means they're running out of cash. Obviously, they bought the sheriffs in the last round. Yeah. They try to make something work the round before, dive in with all their money. We haven't seen the op return for CNED either, and it's been a credit deficit on that side. I'm excited to see what KC have planned in this one because they could run away with their attack if they claim this.
Yeah, and that's sort of the expectation here. Like, FUT, the last time they played this map was versus KC. They had a 9-3 attack in half. Now, bear in mind, now they are playing this without the duelists. They don't have themselves CNED's raise to entry. But I don't think that's going to change the fact that they'll likely have a strong attack, maybe just hoping they can get a few more rounds on this defense. For now, though, again, it's been the same walk up. Straight up B long, taking that space almost for free. It hasn't really been challenged for, and it seems like FUT goals in this round are to try and hold on to Hookah.
KC even thought about expanding the paranoia just to clear close on Garden, but they're keeping it in the back pocket. I thought maybe we were seeing a 5B long play, but one player, Martine, sent alone. The wall up will block him out, at least for the time being. His disruption now limited. Snake biting a slow, but not
got no blast packs as well. So he actually physically wouldn't be able to get over that wall, otherwise it might have been a problem. Now, though, they look to try and pick up the pace alongside the Seekers. The slow is going to deny them a little bit of time, and actually, combined with a mosh, it's allowed at least for an extra rotation to come in.
Kill on Yedege. The numbers thinning. Good fights for FUT, as they now have to concede the site, though. With the TP coming through, there's players in spawn that try to just hold the push, hold the angle, so KC don't get any extra space. They end up losing their life to it. Crack still with 2 flashes. Could try to play into the pit, but they're separated. It's one thing fighting through a pit, fighting through it from 2 different angles. It's only going to be even more difficult. You can see Cracks will try to get an angle, but his teammate's already fallen to a shorty, and now his HP ever lower. It was only a matter of time as the decay made him an easy target for Magnum. That's 5 for KC, and now credit trouble for FUT.
That seemed really disjointed as well from FUT, because Ada Captain going into that like 2v3 had his paranoia, uses it in a position where I don't know if he's hoping that somebody runs out of the pit in panic, but there's no way that Cracks was still walking around the pit. There was no way that Cracks could have any impact or go into the pit or combine it with one of his own flashes. It was just basically thrown out for no reason at all.
Maybe it's the idea of like, okay, he's used the paranoia, everybody turns to face him or gets ready for the drop, and they make a mistake, allowing his teammate to capitalize.
His teammate wasn't close enough to ever kill any of them. So it was weird.
It was a strange play, to say the least. One that hasn't netted the value. 5-3, KC now face off against a low buy. This is where FUT were terrifying up against Team Liquid on Icebox. Well, the whole series, Icebox is the most memorable one. Let's see if we can add bind to the tally. Shin doing his best to make sure that doesn't happen. Already cleared out the real danger of that close range angle, and they're going. They're still going to fight up close. That almost came with a hefty cost, but Cracks gets nothing. CNED and Ada Captain.
Thrash isn't done with you.
Oh, wow. They're not having an easy time. Thrash already caught one. Clean kill. How much can CNED make this? Oh, that's a beautiful double. Still, I would say it's on the verge of unwinnable, unless they give him the fight of his life up top. We just pick the weapon and get out of here. But he wants to drop those. He wants to try for it. The wall up. The fuse won't even get half. And they know now he's not on it. On time alone, it seems like they've won. And indeed, it's locked in. Weapon retrieved, but no way out.
No, it's a little bit of extra damage. The res was already available, so it hasn't helped in terms of the orbs other than for his opponents.
1v4 with a Sheriff, all 4 kills, about all 4 dead, let's say.
Know.
That's pretty damn good.
I've seen him almost 1v5 on this map versus Focus.
You just had to throw that in. You had to throw it in.
Hey, you know, your boy Lewis had to showstopper him to stop that from going the other way. So, you know, for CNED, that was an everyday clip. But
Was he on a Sage then as well?
Yep, and on a Sheriff. The reason he loses it is because he tried to res a teammate. That was literally the reason he lost.
Doesn't need backup.
No.
Not this guy.
But even still, 6-3, looking good so far for KC. Krax has been quiet, but he got off to a good start in this round. Again, though, Tamazi, someone to highlight in every single match. His Cypher in their last game was sublime, and his Viper still looks to be on point. Shin trying to reaggress. The pop flash is good, but even still, Krax finally has awoken. A third already in the round for him, a pop flash. He's looking for more, 8 HP, and he's still pushing forward. Has the support of CNED and one narrate. The reason that FUT lost that long-fought battle on Lotus was because this man had 40 kills. So I don't think FUT are going to take him lightly.
Well, we've got a lot of respect for CNED. He's earned it. I think Narrate has too. Tier 2 duelist to top of the world almost in stats. This guy's unbelievable. But this 1v4, well, he's got time on the clock, but just look at the positions of FUT. As soon as contact is taken, all eyes will be on Narrate. I hope he's got a high sense. Catch this 364K. And the captain shuts it down before it even gets started. And with 4 rounds on the board, FUT are back with a little bit of control. And it's mainly the ultimates. It's 4 ultis in play for this squad. This could at least see them equalize at the half.
Do you know what I really like? At the end of that round, CNED heals at a captain when Krax was on 8 HP. Like, maybe he only just got the heal on live. It just looked like very funny timing of when to use that. After 4 rounds in a row, though, FUT finally back on the board. As said, my expectations are still going to be there for that attack side. It's where we've seen them thrive in the past. So then get a couple more rounds. It definitely isn't a death sentence. Martin, though, doesn't seem to want to allow that. An instant usage straight through the TP of the Thrash. And it has actually been a player to follow. This will give KC the information that maybe they can go back in the other direction. But there are still a couple of players here.
Well, I think the main problem is that that spike is now down on the floor.
Yes.
It's been locked down by FUT, only 2 players. They could take the TP and further reinforce this. Problem is, Orb just claimed for Shin. 1 away from getting his ultimate. If he wins a fight, they could just TP, claim that spike back the easy way, so to speak. Narrate doesn't have a Dizzy, didn't manage to retrieve it early on. It means you can't just flash them and go seize this. Here comes the rest of FUT. The rotations have come in. Now there's 4 players. Narrate, oh, he had some support, but the wall completely blocked off Martin. So everybody's just staring at that angle. Nice and easy. The TP used, but not successfully. They've blocked him out from claiming the spike. And with 40 seconds left, they have a long run to go on. You've still got Martin close, but I mean, he's got 4 players to fight, a spike to retrieve, and a site to plant it on after. They might already be thinking about the next round, because this one's out of play.
Yeah, the credits aren't really in the spot either now for KC. Throwing away some weapons wouldn't really be the ideal scenario. He is waiting for Mr. Fallen, but actually, uncharacteristic. Martin isn't going to hit himself the shot, and now, well, all that remains is Shin, who is going to try and hold onto the gun. Great round from FUT. And the big thing there as well, although CNED, I think he tunnel visioned a little bit on placing the wall down, the knife catches Narrate. So he's waiting to try and catch them as they go for the spike. The knife thrown out by Krax hits him, and that's why he instantly swings onto the corner that he's in, because that was one of the only places right there that he could have actually been landing. So good utility usage throughout the round from FUT to win that one.
Yeah, I mean, really, like the knife for the info, the wall, like, immediately, I'm not even sure if it was off the knife. It seemed like it was almost it's synchronized. It just means they've nowhere else to look, nothing to worry about whatsoever. And it also obviously allows them to stack up on the spike without being shot at. 5-6, great denial from the side of FUT last round, both in the space taking, the realization Shin was playing orbs to try to claim back a little bit of ground and get that spike. And now KC come in with weaker weapons, but one big one backing them up. The showstopper for Martin. The only problem is popping that early is almost certainly going to see the response of cracks. If you pick the wrong site, that knife is going to be, the knife will cancel out, the ult will cancel it out, but luckily they've gone the right way, so the rocket's online and it's caught out of Captain.
Ah, that's a good start. That will not only potentially get him an upgrade in terms of weaponry, but it's also taken so much space. The shot off gives up where Thomas is standing. Mr. Farland still holding strong, but will fall. Cleared out by KC. And while now you have seen that no command put into play, but there's not a lot left, really, that KC could have utilized.
Just look at these angles, man. Martin's got a stinger, but what we don't see is what's in his hand. A shorty holding the close angle means his teammates inside Lambs don't have too much to worry about despite their low HP. Good shot as Yadajay falls, and denial of the defuse with a gap in the wall used to push around, and then the flank comes in eventually. Very clean from KC as they close out this half with a 2-round lead.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that half coming out from KC, if I'm honest. I think really adaptive in the way that they actually played, like constantly happy to go for mid-round group ups. So even if they've got the spike down in this round, they all immediately start wrapping around to avoid where the Sage Wall was, and they just have the spams on the spike from behind, clearing all the players in front. We saw the round where they did the same thing through the spawn. It's such a sort of valuable thing to have as a team is just how reactive, how quick they are to adapt in these scenarios. Now FUT go on to that attack, but as mentioned, they no longer have C-Ned's raise. So that's one thing as space taking that might be a little bit difficult. They do have a little bit of extra utility though.
Something to help them get those plants. KC want to get aggressive towards Lambs, fighting on the corner. 2 players ready and stacked up. Good shots connected by Martin, and then Narrate swings. Sees nobody. They've already claimed the space, denied the push, and left foot sat back. Key thing here, Yadajay, his wall is down. You know that means they're not looking to cross up and take that space anymore. But for KC, it doesn't mean that they have to rotate and play this crazy. They've actually made a very good call, I think in a pistol round especially, to just have the fall back on B, give the side up completely, and leave Tamazi watching it. A retake on one side of the map, and a full stack on the other. This is going to be a tough one for FUT to find any opportunities. Even with the way Tamazi's peeking this, you sneak up B, you maybe get a plant, 5v3 retake, you sneak up B, you push all the way through, he'll either get you or spot you and run away, and that's all they need is the info.
Instead, it doesn't look like his impact in this round will have much at all. They are building into what is the completely stacked up site. 4 players waiting, contact held for Martin, and somehow Crack's actually done all right there. That looked like a moment where they might get slaughtered, but they brought it back into a potential scenario, although there's a lot of utility still available. The defenders putting into position so many spots now that the spike can't be planted in. Only 14 seconds left. The spams might not kill him off. He'll be able to survive at least a second longer, but it is left all onto Cracks. He doesn't even realize where they're coming from. Tamazi there to close out the round, and KC are going to extend their lead a little further.
God, I just love watching KC play Valorant, man. Such a smart pistol round. After the initial aggression and those 2 fights that go their way, they set themselves up for success. They make sure that there's no opportunities given to FUT, which if you think into FUT's last series, I think it's fair to say that was the exact opposite, Tom. Consistently, you would see advantage be taken, or even just early round risk be taken by Liquid, and FUT would slap.
I did Spider-Man on him.
Right back down. But this is the thing, now FUT are up against an opponent that aren't giving them those opportunities to bring back these crazy rounds, these classic rounds. I say that, and it is round 2, having lost a
this
pistol
is where
for
they
FUT.
did it.
This is the real danger zone, somehow.
To be honest, I will say I have a lot more confidence in KC.
Even after that pistol, I think it shows you the difference.
Yeah, even just look at the way they're playing this round. That they've allowed the space. I think this team is where they've truly been the best in the division, is playing off those retakes. Double flash straight through. C-Ned says, you know what, I'm having none of it. And actually, Cracks has hit one with that Sheriff. Oh, maybe we spoke a little bit too soon. He's really looking to try and take this one into his own hands, but Shin has been able to trade him out. No weaponry to be retrieved, but also a lot of the angles still made awkward, still made possible for C-Ned to try and hold them back. And a captain up close. with a classic, always devastating. Mr. Farland's found another. This is starting to really fall apart. And the main issue now, Mitch, is that time, is that clock, as it all looks to fall apart again. It is the magic of this FUT side, is those second rounds are scarier than any other.
I don't know how they get away with it again and again, man. If they lose a pistol, they still get that early half advantage. Crazy. And we talked about this in their last series, if you guys weren't watching that. The advantage claimed by a round like this is tenfold what you get in a pistol. Their economy is going to be set, and their opponents have nothing to play with.
Well, to put it into perspective, they're coming into this next round, which is obviously round 3, with full rifles.
Yes.
And some of their players have like 3,000, 4,000 credits in the bank, so they can buy even into the next round. And they're coming up against what is just pistols, because their opponents haven't had a round break to sort of like, oh, okay, we'll come back into the next round. So you basically obliterate their economy for a round, make yours stacked, and then I have a chance to build it even further. And also you're talking about ults, like Cracks just managed to hit a few crazy shots. He's now one off already, having the null command for the next round. Now what is KC gonna do? They're gonna stack. They're gonna put every single egg into a singular basket. And it's already been spotted. So you kind of expect that FUT are gonna go, I think more than one person might have shot there. In fact, I think it was more than maybe even 3. So I think A's probably lighter.
I don't mind the idea, group up, push slow, and try to either take them down or find the flank up on Hookah. But now the realization is in, after seeing utility on A, that flank on Hookah is instead going to be a flank on A. FUT have played this incredibly well, and I think the idea behind this round is it's a money-maker round. You know, we already mentioned the credits they have. If they don't lose anybody here, that's fine. They don't need to reinvest in the next round. KC need to make this costly to make up for losing the last. And as you can see, all bases are covered by FUT. The back being watched, that flash didn't hit, and Magnum knows it. With 10 HP, he's not winning that fight. So he'll bail around to his teammates, and it looks like KC realized the name of the game. It's damage. So they're playing exits. They're willing to let this spike tick all the way down, and the question is, will anybody from FUT take an avenue that they can exploit? TP for CNET is safe, and look at the other 4 players tucked away, wall banging that angle, and ultimately finding that win exactly as they dreamed about. All 5 players alive. The credits now are stacked on the side of FUT. KC have a tough time defending this lead.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds where you're looking now at Yedaje post-buy having 6,000 credits. Like they are set for the half. And as said, this is normally the half where we see them thrive. I think the combinations of Cracks and Mr. Farland especially are going to be something to marvel at. And also something else to note, Anna Captain right now is having a quiet match. That doesn't normally last for long, so we'll have to see. KC obviously now onto their defensive side, and it's an aggressive start at that. Yedaje may have done a little bit of damage. The combination's nice, but it doesn't quite catch them. Cool idea coming out of FUT, but not quite.
Orb up and fall back. KC don't want to overcommit to fights. And thankfully for them, they won't have to. It looks like there's going to be a utility dump on the way through Hookah. Tamazi the only one in danger, but he's got an easy enough bailout. Oh, never mind! I said they didn't want to fight. Tamazi just goes swinging on that angle, finds one, repositions 2, but Cracks is ready for it. Ever vigilant, TP through, oh, big fight on its way. I thought maybe they'd wait a second for this, but instead they go diving with the showstopper, claim the spike, and leave Mr. Fallen all alone. And with another TP, he's got an idea where everyone is. Now he's got that info locked in, but dealing with this is going to be a bit complicated. Even the flashes, he thinks they're going to push him. You know, he's burning up some of his utility that he very much needs if he's going to have any chance of reclaiming that spike.
This is the exact thing we're talking about, though. A lot of teams in this scenario go, okay, one dude left, let's just push him, let's try to take him down, let's kill him. Not a chance. Both just sitting back on the spike, not giving any opportunity, playing it safe, and you can see Mr. Varlet's desperately trying to just bait someone into a fight. In fact, they're just going to leave. They just left altogether. Like, you know what, Mr. Varlet? We don't even want to risk one gun here. You have credits. We know that already. So we're just not going to give you anything. He's also 1 away from having Thrash in the next round, so they're not going to gift that over to him. And Mr. Farland's left all on his lonesome as the round heads over to KC.
That is not a round you're going to see most teams going for in that way. The discipline of KC highlighted, and it makes me so happy because, again,
I can't think of any team at least in the
Someone's fighting. At least one person is fighting. The other two might run away.
Yeah.
One might run away, but someone is fighting there when there's a kill on the line. They're giving Thrash away, and they're setting FUT up for success in the next round. But no, KC play it smart. So I love this team. And FUT, well, their most advantageous trait is punishing over aggression, is taking fights. Well, they give them none, and then at the start of the round, they bring the fight. Krax loses his life off rip, and he's been a big factor behind their success. That utility gone, and most importantly, the weapon no longer in his hands.
God, this is the yin and yang of KC. These aggressive starts to round, and then just looking to convert the 5v4. They are playing the numbers in Valorant, and it is enjoyable to watch. Now FUT, they have to try and beat the odds. Krax has definitely had a bit of a resurgence when it comes to this second half, but at least for now, they're going to have to play this one without him, leaving with a couple of flashes missing, and just trying to get that plant in, almost trying to bait again, so bait them into the fights. And only now that they have the full force of their squad are they going to try and get into position. The nade dropped, but Anna Captain's done well. Even still though, trade is immediate.
That trade's keeping the favor for KC, and they know CNET could be around this angle, dealing with him. It's a little bit different, but he's got his ice wall out at least. It will be put into play, and they'll have to break it, buying a little bit of extra time. Mr. Fallen, though, dividing his attention, and Tomazi takes advantage of it. Damage, not a kill. Still 2 players alive, and with the spike being tapped as we speak, the spray's going to come through. A kill would give Thrash, at least if the kill was for Mr. Fallen, and he might not need it. Never mind! What? 6 HP left on Magnum. And he clutches the round from the jaws of defeat. I was already counting them out of that one.
Yeah. I feel like he must have broken his wrist to flick back to that second player. But again, here's just the early rounds, the paranoia combined alongside the guiding light to get them the opener. Seen it a little bit unlucky with the timing there, but yeah, it's these last couple of shots out from Magnum.
Wow!
Just filthy way to bring things home for the IGL, and well, now 10-7. FUT will have felt like that was theirs to take because of FUT versus KC. Obviously, I feel like this team has evolved massively since then, playing through a Masters, having a decent finish, and only losing to the top teams within the world. And again, the same sort of early pressure. 3-player push, combination of utility to start. But FUT aren't sitting back. They're going to try and fight in towards showers instead. An early fight wins them the duel, and Yadajay, another rookie to the league. As I've said many times, it does not feel like it.
It really doesn't. Yeah, you don't see too many rookies doing that, although it's funny to say it in this matchup, but they're right on the other side.
True.
Exact same.
And Martin and Tomazi. Yeah, I get your point.
This is a bad matchup for it, but usually the point stands.
Yeah, we got some kind of good rookies here, right?
But that's it. That's what EMEA is all about this season. And by the looks of it, FUT are looking to challenge that here and now. They're back on the board with 8. This is already a save call from KC. We're going to play it for the next. Of course, we mentioned that the way the early half went in a couple of these rounds for FUT, they built up a major bank. They even managed to make it work with pistols when their economy was eventually challenged. Now KC are in that same boat. It's not worth committing to this play. Instead, trying to save the weapons, and thankfully they will drop out a captain who was hunting them down. So those weapons are pretty much secure.
The rest do still have a little bit of extra credits if they really wanted to fight for this, but with the majority of players either having their ult or being one away, and Tomazi also wanting to get his online, I don't think it's a bad call to just hold on to the extra weaponry. Still competitive, no doubt about that, but you do have to wonder how much of a possibility there's going to be, because it's now a weird cat and mouse, because you've had the super aggressive KC defense looking for the opener, falling back and making it awkward. This round, again, they aggressed on 2 fronts. They had that B-short aggression to try and take an aggressive fight, and then they also had 2 players push showers. They got absolutely boomed by Yadajay. And that's what I'm sort of wondering now. Is there going to be further sort of aggression? Are we going to have them? Like, they almost have all 5 online. One of them being Thrash, Null Command, Viper's Pit not far away. Okay, I would say that From the Shadows and Rares are very situational. The other side, you have Viper's Pit, Seeker's not far away, but ultimately this round could easily swing because of the ults that FUT have. And having some weaker weaponry, like a lot of the aggressive fights they've been taking, you're not going to want to judge.
You don't reckon?
No, maybe in a passive position like sitting in lamps.
Yes,
you
sir.
might want it there.
And that's it. FUT have been taking lamps a lot. That's what this wall is for. Cracks, unfortunately, a little bit of a recon beam going up in the sky as they eventually take control. They meet Shin, and the spams through the smoke. Well, they've caught Cracks again. That's 2 in a row. He won't be res this time as he's dropped for good. Fight back from Mr. Fallen gets one. Thrash is online, no safe space to use it, but they're out. At least one is, 2 safe, and the other still out on Bath. Looks like FUT will be comfortably enough able to get this plant through. Thrash online, res. Yeah.
Planted.
I mean, good luck to you if you manage that res. Maybe you could sneak up late, go through the TP, but that's just not how you want to play this round.
I was wondering if CNED would hang around a little bit, wait for that rotation. Thrash is basically just being used as a deterrent, allowing him to get back into position, and then it's going to be held for the late round. I don't mind the idea, the push! It is bold from Captain. Trying to get into a position to catch them off guard, but they are moving as a unit, as always with the KC boys. They move as 4, they kill all 3, and KC now just 2 rounds away from taking themselves the victory on their opponent's map choice and moving into their home turf.
11 rounds on the board. Like we said, FUT's ulti con was very much stacked. They're not able to make it work. Thrash used a null command too. But at the end of the day, it's a shooting game. That's what KC came in with, that mentality. Come in as a squad, and barely any damage done to them on the way back through. Clean 3-round lead. Credits on the line for that attacking side. They've got some to back them up, but
they rebought the judge. That was dropped by Shin.
Oh, was it?
Because he got the final kill with a rifle. So he has either dropped over and then rebought, or
probably
just picked it back up, which I think that would be insane.
Yeah, and for Narrate, like, he could have dropped him, but this is obviously, look at the value the judge found you last round. Why get rid of it?
Here we go again. This time they put Martin to try and shut down Yedajay, and well, he does do that, but there's going to be an immediate res, an attempt to try and counter this, but the bodyguard of CNED and the wall will mean that that advantage this time is kept. I think that's been the plan. Try and go for some of these double-ups. It's just last time Yedajay just won the fight, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I don't need to res you.
Oh, Viper's Pit. Now that's going to cause a couple of problems. See, Snakebite's already burned up by Tamazi. He's got 1 left to play with, but have to put the orb up. So he's not going to be able... Oh, that's actually Yedajay's orb. So never mind. You won't be putting that up. So at this point, there's no real denial. Those players could be pushed out, but the Seekers get some information. Players outside of B, at least 1 as the Seeker gets destroyed, and a second 2. KC have the info now. They have seen that there are players B. Yet they commit to the stack.
I think the thing is that what FUT did was they played so far back that the Seekers go deep enough that it looks like they're building up around that A site. They were back towards mid. They were holding, so they gambled on the KC side, and FUT, they basically gambled that they would do that. A smart way to play with those rotations. Captain, this fight could be everything. It's definitely a little bit more awkward. He dodges the flash, and the shots eventually connect. It felt like Magnum probably could have had him once or twice there. Now, though, FUT just starting to dominate, leaving Shin alone. And Andaluthia flawless is how they bounce back into this one. And, well, I don't think this team's ever going to run out of credits at this rate.
Fantastic round from Yedajay. That ult kept them in position. The fact that Viper's Pit's still on A, despite, I mean, one of those Seekers was destroyed literally in the doorway to Hookah. I'm surprised at that point at least 1 player doesn't move back, but we've seen this from KC before. The willingness to stack up a site, stay there as a team, and their retakes together have been near perfect.
But it's also the 4v5. I think that's probably what sold it for them.
And then this time you have Yedajay just waiting behind. He's saying, you guys want to retake as a team? I'll cut you up on the way back through. And he does such a good job at disrupting that late round from KC. Now, 11-9, 2 rounds in it.
Yeah, still looking for these aggressive plays. The flash in, and it seems like the TP was just used as somewhat of a ruse, just to try and almost play with them a little bit.
I wonder if they saw the back push and then realized, okay, if I TP, they might think I've TP'd Heaven, and they actually can't. They might not have anyone close enough to check that.
It does look like I've just seen Narrate still checking the back.
Yeah,
they are.
That's it.
They are watching Heaven because they don't know what control they've lost. This has been purely utilized by Captain just to screw with them for the entire round. They're going to have to continuously think about where this guy could be. Even still, though, KC in terms of their setup, they've got 4 players ready and waiting, an aggressive hookah spot as well in case there's a rotation back, and it is just going to be this brawl on the A site once again.
Well, Captain hit all 5 with Paranoia, but not with his ability. Now, though, they've realized where he is as he steps into the fight. All right, well, he was looking at heaven. He should have been looking at the walkout. 3 kills coming back from KC. It's winnable yet again. They're not letting go of these rounds, but they might be forced to let go of the plant at least. Playing for the post, Shin walled off. No real chance to cause any sneaky plays. And so they'll group up instead. Viper's Pit for Tamazi. Online and enabled. Recon Dart used. Shin just goes ulting in to spot both players, but I think he only saw one. Might not have gotten to turn around in time. The Viper's Pit up. This is going to make it difficult, but CNED around the side. He could look for a spam. The spike's being tapped. He wants to move in to see him. And it all comes down to timing, which is near perfect for CNED. Now they wait out the decay. No, they don't. Yedajay just swings. Fair enough. That's one way to handle it. 10 to 11. I thought they'd 2v1 the fight, but, well, Yedajay's been hitting the last couple.
Yeah, he's been doing very, very well, and as I said, it's only a matter of time before you see Anna Captain come online. There's still, again, though, the swings back and forth with this double up, but this time the 2v2 goes in their favor. As you said, CNED's reposition was perfect. And now after continuous buy round after buy round after buy round, KC are the ones to now take the hit.
To be honest, I think I've seen that.
So more standard execute, and that's where FUT's able to close it out with the even numbers. So even though it came close, I do think FUT have slowly been getting a hold of this attack side, as they did last time out. Even still, though, we're going to see the same level of aggression again, hoping that they can maybe bait for Narrate. Now, he does have Thrash, but unless this gets into a position where they believe they can win the round, I'd be very surprised if he uses it.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. You'd have to hear a stampede coming towards Bath. And Narrate, well, oh, the Snakebite hasn't reached him. There is a gap. They should realize that. Even just from CNED's perspective, you can tell that Snakebite isn't clearing the corner.
Uh-oh.
The dog through. Okay, he's won that with 30 HP left. One more blast, and he was in a lot of trouble. But the heal up is going to bring him back to fighting health, and he'll just avoid taking that fight. All paranoid up. Shin will get nothing. I like this mosh, though. I could force him out of position, make the fight go down, and actually give the timing for Shin to swing around. Will they expect him to be here still? No, they don't. The rotate's going in, and it looks like there's going to be a god-tier late flank from Mr. Fallen.
Yeah, I think it's, again, just patience that actually ends up paying off in this round for FUT. Okay. And a captain's going to go down, at least. And Mr. Fallen now on that long-awaited flank. Shin's actually going to go right back. Seems like he had an idea of it. The Sixth Sense talked about doing the Spider-Man in the last round. It seems like he had the Spidey senses, but even still, again, FUT just waiting. They actually end up catching Magnum. I think just, okay, he had to gamble at that point. You're getting to such late stages of the round, and that patience is, again, what pays off for FUT. 3 in a row here. This was looking like a done deal for KC. But now, well, it could go either way.
There was a lot of damage done there. I mean, 3 players were sub 50 HP out of the 4 remaining. So there were chances, but not ones that were capitalized on. This time, it has to be different.
For FUT, it might be a map you think you can go close versus them, but you're not going to want to lose your own map and then go there.
Well, that's it. Yeah, if you're going in with a map deficit, there's a bit of a different vibe. For KC, they've had, I wouldn't say commanding control. It has definitely been in contention the whole way, but it seems like they had their hands on the reins for quite a while. And the rounds they've won stick in my mind as much cleaner rounds, repeatable ones. Then again, I do know FUT, and when you see a round you don't think is repeatable, you're wrong, because they'll win the next one with classics on the next map. It just keeps happening. They've done it here already, and with 11 to 11 on the line, Martin, I saw he had an op earlier, but he's given it over to Narrate instead, playing a closer angle, and that's why 2 quick kills, and the 3rd from Shin. KC, they definitely got their hands on the reins now.
Yeah, he's been lights out in this match. So many important openers when it comes to this defensive side especially. 2 versus 4 scenario as they look to try and make their way continuing into this site. Shin still having his paranoia from earlier, just going to slow them down even further. The push coming up behind them as well eventually, so it feels like FUT really need to find themselves the kills here. And if they use the TP, their opponents will be waiting.
30
Oh
seconds
no, this is
left.
going to be commitment. Wall saved, perhaps for the spawn, but they have to fight for it first. Shin's in their way, and he's going nowhere. 3 quick kills. His first in the beginning of the round, trading out his teammate, and the last 2 clean as he stands alone and stays standing in the end. 12-11. KC 1 away from closing this out. A map that, like we said, they've had a decent bit of control on. They won't be delighted about how things have gone along the way. But if they get a 13-11, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it really is impressive as well, like this man's glow up. Like, I think we can all look back and say like, oh, yeah, I saw glimpses, like he had some decent, but the fact is, even just on an individual level, Shin has been a different player this season. 22-14, having a great time within this new look KC. And while now just 1 round needed for KC to open up in this matchup, take that first map, head into their home turf of Lotus and put foot on the back foot within this series. Even still though, as we've mentioned, FUT have had so many credits saved up since the early stages of this half that they are still comfortably able to buy.
With Thrash in the back pocket as well. Cracks 1 away. There's a few ults that could come online, but it's Thrash for Narrate as well. Defensive reaction, op in his hands as well. Hasn't really had the chance to use it. Here comes the first Thrash of the round. Thrown in towards this site, and it might catch Martine. In fact, it will, but he's already out and safe. This player's covering him, but Shin was spotted and spammed at, so he'll give up that control. And the A site under a lot of threat. Mosh might buy some time, but another Thrash to go through. This time, Mr. Fallen falls, and then the shot connected by Narrate. Pulls the Thrash out as the defenders now throw theirs in to try to slow down this attacking side. Captain has, I don't know if he's quite snuck his way in. They're definitely expecting it. In fact, I see Narrate holding it, but now there's no chance. TP was used to claim Spike after the wall down. I mean, okay.
Yeah, Seaman went to get it, took damage from it, and then they used the TP. It's just, Seaman has taken a ridiculous amount of damage from basically no reason at all. That's very, very badly communicated by the side of FUT. Now they're going to have an even bigger deficit, and as we've said, when it comes to these retakes, this is where the death ball of KC comes alive.
No, it's just been ruthless every time. CNED's now backing up inside of Hookah, be able to provide some support, but actually not the death ball. Split into 2 two-man squads this time for KC, and that could be a mistake. Tamazi able to double up though, and that round is already sealed. CNED solo, tucked in the corner. KC deal with him and find the defuse with plenty of time to spare. 13-11.
Losing what is their additional flashes makes this very interesting, because a lot of the time, okay, you don't have flashes on the other side, but you got a fade. You got something to sort of implement extra movement, extra checking of corners. There's a lot of tight angles. There's not a lot to do that with on the FUT side, and instead you have a Sage, so I guess you're just going to lop off those angles instead.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I am curious to see why they've changed this up to go for the Sage, what benefits it's going to bring that other agents wouldn't. For now, a plan secured for FUT with very little early fighting. In fact, only points of damage done are towards Captain. There's just a small tap from a Ghost through the smoke. The retake attempt from KC, somewhere they've been fantastic, is actually being disrupted. Yedijay's in the corner, unspotted and able to find so much value. Reloading even, and he had a chance with another half-second to pop off a few more shots in the rain. Shut him down in time, but he'd already done so much damage now. FUT have the advantage to play with. The numbers there, and you can see it in the gunfights. Too many classics awaiting them as FUT take 1-0.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be important for them to get off to solid starts. As has been mentioned, KC, when it comes to this map in particular, it's not even really been one side, because you could talk about, okay, they got 11 rounds over on the attack when they played versus Team Heretics, then versus Paper X, I think they got 8 on the defense. So it's just a map that they feel comfortable on in general. I think it's even when they lost to Sen, it was like both halves were decent. They just didn't manage to get it over the line. So I think the focus is definitely going to be on FUT here with how they do. And again, I think the compositional changes is definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on, how they're going to properly utilize the Sage. That round at least was just, okay, in the pistol it's a lot easier to section off angles because it takes about 15 minutes to break the wall with your pistol, so I can understand it.
It's from here on out, really. I guess post-plant, denying their way back through, slowing them. There's going to be ideas, and we'll see them unfold. probably not in this round. Very aggressive position from CNET. He is on the jet, but no dash to play with. And this is a rifle that is being risked for this play. The only main rifle that they have to work with, that being a Vandal. The rest on Bulldogs. And Ada Captain, although he's got a pistol, it's not likely that he's going to retrieve CNET's fallen weapon. In fact, that's just been picked up by Tamazi. Maybe they go deliver it to them, but it gives KC a better opportunity on the retake that by now we can see they have no choice but to go for it. There's no denying that plant.
The interesting thing as well is I do actually feel like a lot of what FUT have been doing recently is just putting CNET on agents where he almost doesn't need abilities. Like when we've seen that with him using Chamber, just dropping the trap on the floor. Maybe that was the plan in the last map with the wall. You just have to place the wall and you can do whatever you like. Now on the jet, as you said, he didn't have a dash, but his only goal was to find fights. And as you mentioned, this round at least, Tamazi just going to save. Like the holding on to the Vandal, he gets to keep the extra few credits. And what you can see, Ada Captain may just go hunting here. Only has a pistol to play with. They were hoping that they'd keep 4 rifles and maybe the pistol would go down. Instead, well, you're going to see Narrate not give the orb over by dying to the spike. And Tamazi, there is no one close enough to take that gun away.
No, they were getting, they were going in the right direction, but he backed off, tucked into a corner and saved the rifle through. So at least there's some semblance of positivity for KC in those early rounds. And a couple kills here or there, sure, it makes FUT reinvest, but for the most part, in a healthy position on this attacking side to contest round 3. Now, for KC, yeah, like we said, this is a map that they've been dominating. They've looked incredibly good. And up against Paper X, they squashed them. Curious to see, though, the early fights against a team like FUT who love to duel. Yeah. And off rip, they've lost one player, but it's traded out very quickly.
Well, that is the thing. Even though they have some weaponry deficit, CNET is still just running in a spot where the gun is irretrievable unless they're going to go back in the late round. And by the looks of it, they are not going back in the late round. They're going to try and just run through all of Tamazi's utility. Yenergy has got to a ridiculous point. Eventually, Magnum is the one to close him out. It is just sheer aggression. W Gaming, maybe they learned something from Paper X, even though Paper X lost.
Pretty dramatically.
And now, well, building into what could be a late rotation back. I said Mr. Fallen still doesn't have a gun, so if he goes round towards A main, there would still be CNET's gun to find, but he is currently alone. Cracks, though, is going to be able to win a fight. This is still a round that FUT might be able to turn.
Beautiful as well. A glimpse inside Krax's mind. He takes the first fight and just swings back out for more. Never letting it go. That rifle's not retrieved by Mr. Fallen. Instead, he's done just that. Fallen outside of A and giving KC the idea that that's where the play is coming down. They're going to be on their toes with one player already on the site. And Tamazi alongside Narrate back in the spawn, covering off these angles. As time goes on, 15 seconds left. FUT will eventually have to commit to getting this plant in. Utility is limited, no orb to play with it. I can see it's on site, obviously, but now I even walled off, so Ada Captain ain't getting that back. Most importantly, it's not going to be on the spike, so no post-plant utility, no snake bite to deny. Instead, it has to be the fights for Ada Captain, and he's good at those. The first one, the snake bite, perfect in the swing, but Shin wins it. Clean on the headshot, and he needed that. Only a few bullets. One, in fact, on 42, while vulnerable, would have taken him down. Cracks below. Timing is everything, and oh, he's lost it. They know where he is. They put him in a box and closed the door on it. Great round from Shin on the way back through with 7 HP left. He's won both those fights and put KC on the board.
Yeah, it's still a competitive round, though. That's the thing. When you think of that as a bonus for FUT, it's really not a bad position to be in. I think the only frustrating thing will be that it was winnable. Like Mr. Fallen going down, not checking the cross.
Nice, let's go.
He was actually picking up a Vandal over a Bulldog. That was the only. He already had a gun, so it was a minor upgrade in the end that cost him his life. Maybe just thinking space has already been taken. This is where they buy back up, though. The only other argument I have for the Sage is it could be the exact same reason I gave for CNET. Maybe just Crack, because Crack's had a fall in individual form when he wasn't playing the KO. Maybe they're just thinking, let's let him frag.
CNET's ahead of the wall, but he's being spotted. The dash used to stay safe, and the cloudburst to get out. They're giving up the control. They haven't taken a loss for it. That early aggression on A, so hard to deal with from KC. FUT have it in their head to go elsewhere. Take this towards the C site. Cage down and triggered, but they're pretty confident he hasn't gone running through the orb alongside the Nano, although Yedege did that last round, or round before. It's being watched this time, and they're ready for this push to come through. 2 players on the site. Magnum might be giving away that he's on his own, but Tamazi's now, well, actually dropped. It's split from both sides, had no chance. They're going to play the retake on the defensive side, and they're going to have to deal with that wall as well.
Yeah, very reactive attack side right now from FUT. Playing aggressively A if they're challenged too much, falling straight back into a C-side take. Relying on the openers as well. Yedege again. This guy just pulls off ridiculous kills, taking over the round on his own once more. A third already. Crossfire set, but he doesn't need any help. And finally, Shin will put him down in the back. You almost wonder where his teammates were there. Like, guys, I've killed everyone. Could you watch my flank, please? But they will now look to close it, Shin. This time we're not switching off him, but it will still be the trade out. FUT are going to break straight back, and again, no respite for KC with the finances. They always seem to be on the brink, or in this case, in the dirt.
This map playing into FUT's hands with the aggressive stances you'll take in early rounds, but they were taking them in late rounds. The paranoia used for Yedege to take all that space. I'll give him the first kill was because of his teammates helping him. Every single one after that is a little bit ridiculous, and that's pretty much the face.
And if that doesn't work, let's go B. And like, I understand that that's a lot of this map is the push and pull. It is where you're fighting for control, but they haven't been winning the initial fights for A control. They've just given it up, or CNET has died.
Yeah, and KC are making the decision now on the lower buy to focus towards C. Remember, they've been, like you said, so successful on that A play that they don't expect FUT to fully commit to it.
CNET's already walked out.
Yeah, there's still 2 players swinging to take that fight. But if they do bring things back to C, which it looks like they might, there'll at least be numbers waiting for them. But now KC, having seen limited information, start to second guess themselves. Maybe these players are elsewhere. Maybe they're looking for an A hit.
The only problem with that mentality is I'd agree that that works against most other teams. The problem is CNET is not going to stop pushing. If he is told to push A, he will push A every single round and just continue to try and take these fights, even if they almost just seem like suicide. Like, for the last couple of rounds, it has been him just walking into positions and taking fights.
Oh, man.
And he's taken that control with every single member of KC just on the other side of the wall, but they've done it again. They've taken A control. They have seen absolutely nothing. They have sold this fake, and in the meantime, the rest of the players have walked into C.
Yeah, CNET literally cloudburst, dashed in, and then walked back out. Just, oh, we're taking it, or are we? Oh, here we come. No, run away. And it's planted on C. Like, they've got to feel like fools after this round because they've been played like them. And you mentioned starting this round out, funnily, that a lot of this map is about the push and the pull, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, they have pulled them to the other side of the map, pulled their arm on this one, and unfortunately, there's not going to be much to say on the way back through, mainly because of the time it's taken them to rotate back. They're still up against this many players. There's a poison orb waiting for them. And presumably, a snake fight. All right, Ada Captain just fights them ahead of it. And screw the utility. Let's just take the duels. Why not? They're winning all of them. Only one player dropped. Cracks on 1 HP, but well, he's healing back up. It's all good.
Very, very slowly, yeah.
Not even close.
No, I like it. And that's the thing. I mentioned in the last map that a lot of teams in the past on their attack side have played the strategy of avoid CNET. I never thought I'd see the day where his own team are playing that same strategy, because normally you talk about his Jet. He's the pinnacle point. Like, we send him in first, he gets the opener, we plant the spike. They're doing that, and then all going the other way and just leaving him on his own to just try and fight. It's like he's been sent in as a bare-knuckle boxer, and the rest of them are just like, yeah, you do that. We'll back you up from very far away.
But if anyone in that position realizes, guys, I think they're faking A. Like, when you hear all that noise, there's smokes. I think there might even have been a paranoia. They're opening the door. There's players dashing on site. I mean, that is an A take. An A take is occurring right now.
Especially when you have an eco. Like, you're going to take that risk. Now we'll see how much it's going to affect them, because it's a difference in strategy. There hasn't been pressure from the defensive side on A this round. It's just been a walk-up coming out on the other side of things. And they're trying to sell the reverse. It's the Uno reverse of the strat they've been playing. They were playing go initially to A and then go C. Now they've gone go initially to C and now go A. Yeah. And there is only Martin watching. Now, he does have support from Shin, and they do have quite a lot in terms of utility to go for the retake, and that might just be the adaptation that KC are making. let's go for the retake rather than consistently trying to take these fights and losing in the afterplan.
And again, there's just one player harassing them on the other side of the map, opening the door to B, looking for control on C, but now they've spotted Yedege. With that, you might think it's only the lurk, but with how things have gone so far, yeah, they're starting to read, no, this is an A play instead. It might feel a little insecure. Are they actually taking A? Heard an updraft, that means nothing, but Rez comes through, Spike comes in, and now Viper's pit for Ada Captain. Big pit to play inside of. I don't know how CNET's got the kill there. That must have been a spray through the pit to find it. Gorgeous play either way, intended or not. And now, to fight back through this, they are in a lot of trouble. I mean, that flank is barely going to matter because those players could come out the back of the Viper's pit, and instead, actually got Mr. Fallen spotting Tamazi, slowing down the retake, splitting these players up and making it even easier to deal with them. The decay, running it down. Well, Shin, I don't know if he got the comms on where Mr. Fallen was, but that was a little awkward.
Yeah, it has worked out wonderfully for FUT once again. I did this time even having the res to sort of get Yedege back in, because that's the thing, they had the contact off of Martina. It's been the same thing we saw on the last map where they have that contact play. Oh, there you go. And they just look to play the retake. The problem is the retake still ends up being 5v5 because of the res. But also the thing with Mr. Fallen, they were planting on A as he walked through the utility on C. Like that is such a ridiculously late flank that he knows, okay, they're going to use Viper's Pit. They're going to try and buy time. Nightfall gets used by KC, and even still they're unable to get themselves into position to do anything. It is impeccable how well they did in holding.
What is this? What ungodly act is Magnum about to try? An Ares?
I've never seen anyone be so all in on the Odin and then hate the Ares as much as
trash.
It's
just
such
a
a
bad
weird
gun.
combination though. Like most people who are sweats of the Odin at least tolerate
Nope.
the Ares,
Get a sheriff.
whereas you just hate it.
It's trash. If you're in an open fight with an Ares and you win it, your opponent's bad. Right? That's the only way. I like the idea of fighting around Mound, but well, Shin wasn't quite there on time to take that fight. Big ult now as the Neural Theft gives away these positions. No surprise element to narrate spot. Makes it so much harder for him to find any value as they realize he's alone and go hunting him down. Nice stuff. FUT 6 on the board, a commanding lead on the attack side. And this is very different to the last map where it was a little back and forth. Casey had some clean rounds, and that's sort of what sticks in my mind a little more. FUT had these ones where they could punch back from disadvantageous positions, but wow, going 6-1 and off the back of an Andaluthia flawless, a lot of trouble brewing for Carmine Corp.
Yeah, this is now as well them stacking up their ultimates. I don't think it's a bad time to sort of just take a little bit of a moment, talk through things and try and come up with something, because the fact is they've been denied in their retake. They're even getting denied in their aggression. It's the same again. That push was CNED running through, going for an early fight on his own. Nothing else. Nope. I don't think, did they use, no, Mr. Farley didn't use his paranoia. They used no smokes.
Just a guy
that was just CNED, go kill, and he went, cool boss, and got them the opener. Yeah. And that's Martin. Martin has been wrecked this game, by the way. He has one kill, and it was that kill on Yedege. That's it.
He was leading those early duels last time, but not this time around. The turrets helped out. Even caught Ada Captain. Cracks will heal just about, and well, you can thank his lucky stars that that turret wasn't online still. They would have dropped him. Up top for the retake, not ideal. In fact, you're going to see Shin swap it out on the way. Instead, the Vandal now in hand to rotate in, but Tamazi's here early. I think earlier than they'll realistically expect. Getting something done will be very difficult in the camp. Now it's spotted them. Now they've got that information to play with. I don't know where Krax is going. He's going to be late to the party, but they've got the util to potentially delay them. They've got Tamazi, though, picking up Yedege. Now Mr. Fallen's alone, and this could start to get very scary unless Krax quickens the pace. Mr. Fallen has to hold strong in the site. It's only a matter of time. There's the peak, but Tamazi falls, and the flank comes through eventually. FUT thinking on levels we can't comprehend with these slower flanks. 7-1, and that's going to be so frustrating for KC because a number number of times now when they've set up for these retakes where they've been so successful, they get onto the diving board to go together synchronized, and they are just cut down in pieces.
He is literally like on another continent, like half the time. That's happened twice now, where Mr. Fallen is just going into C as they plant on A, and in the same in this circumstance where they're just planting on C, and he's walked through A. Like, it's got to be baffling for the side of KC, but as we mentioned, they love their retakes, they love setting up, and they're never really allowed to because of these weird flanks. Now, straight off the bat, an immediate, explosive start. KC have had enough of sitting on the back foot, and in this round, they tried to put the pressure on. They've got the information a little bit early. The problem is the timing. They've got to try and get into position. Tomazi needs to get something here, and he will find one, but the trade is immediate, and his teammate's gone as well.
Yeah, Magnum only had a shorty, so that was a real Hail Mary play. And with the res in, the impact is negligible. In fact, it's null and void. And the kills keep going their way. FUT not letting go of this one with Shin and Martine. You know, there is a showstopper online for Martine. I would be perplexed if he was to use it here. And KC have had a lot of ults for a couple rounds, but haven't had the chances to use them. This wasn't the round for it.
I thought he might use it at the beginning when they went for that explosive sort of like util dump. Like, that seemed like the perfect spot to use a showstopper. But again, it is just the context of the round. But also, I'm gobsmacked at what we're watching right now. Coming in with a little bit more of an obscure composition on this map at least. And I'll be honest, a lot of this just looks like a firepower diff, which is not something I'd ever thought I'd say. Now, it's been good, again, these sort of like really late lurks coming out from FUT. The opening kills have definitely been going in their direction. But I genuinely think it's just almost the disruptive nature of what they're running. Like, okay, we want to set up for a retake. There's a Sage wall in the way. There's a player that's 17 light years around the back of the site. Like, it's just odd stuff that KC are having to deal with. And I'll be honest, they're not.
This is the thing, you know, I spoke to Ulysses during the break, and we spoke about this map, and he said, no, FUT are going to take it easy. It's like, what are you talking about? Realistically, KC's performance, and they've only gotten better as time went on. Their most recent, they got a lot better on this map, but 8-1, incomprehensible difference. And I think it does fall back to exactly what Uli was saying to me. This team loves to fight, and this map is built for it. But this is a level that goes beyond my comprehension because KC are good at fighting. Now they have a chance, though. Showstopper already in, and Martine up close.
Go. Cracks already found a trade. And a captain there as well. These post plants have been sublime, but this time they managed to get into position. There is still a snakebite available. They need to do something to get in here, and actually they might just be able to stick this one. If they can get in onto the defuse once that snakebite is gone, and a captain has to go through this, and round is over. There's nothing he can do here. KC will get it over the line as they drag things back to 8-2, but even still, this is a mountain, and they've just got past the first stage.
Got past the molehill. Yeah, this is a lot more. A big trek ahead of them, but that's one way to start it. The showstopper entry. That's something that we have to highlight, because you said Martine's been getting diffed. Last map, he was 7 out of 10 opening duels successfully won. This guy was breaking through FUT on the attack and the defense. Now, though, a very different look. He's got 3 kills. FUT have been shutting this man down, and one of those is a showstopper. Here's the big boy, the Odin in play. They're a little off the angle, and the spray through the smoke
1 HP.
with the Vandal. Yeah.
It almost went the other way. It almost went the other way. That's the crazy thing about it.
I think I would have been more angry if it went the other way.
I think you would have been as well. But that, again, that seems to be the CNED strat, is just... it feels like there is 2 strat books. One is being read by the entirety of FUT, and the other one is CNED, which just says, try and kill someone on A. And it says that on every page. He's like turning it meticulously like a menu. And he's like, oh, what have we got for the hors d'oeuvres? Oh, I'm going to push A and try and kill someone. Oh, and the main course, I'm going to push A and I'm going to try and kill someone. It's manic. This time, they've shut him down, but even still, they're heading in towards this A site, and there is still opportunities here. Mr. Farlin is just walking.
Yeah, I mean, he took a timing as the door was about to close. The haunt faded.
It's going to be an Odin lure.
It is. I'm 99% sure. They're pinging it, aware he could be here, but with the wall going down, with the lockdown in play, this is forcing FUT back. They might want to utilize this position, but Mr. Fallen dies trying to claim it. Still 3 players from KC here, and the Nightmare, the Nightfall comes in, catching them all. 2 at least, and the first already fallen out of Captain. Out of here, 12 seconds left. Reposition from Magnum is perfect. Sublime play from the side of KC, letting nothing slip. And that's one way to close a round for Shin.
Yeah, he's going to make sure. And he's also going to do the right thing and throw the Odin away. Like the piece of trash on the ground it is.
Hold on now. What's all this about?
He did. You know, like he did with the classic, threw it out of the map.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that was just BM, but it served its purpose.
Nice. He is up at the top of the board right now. 12 and 8, Shin has still been fragging, but definitely been quieter performances elsewhere. And 8-4 definitely not a death sentence, especially not on this map. As I said, we've seen impeccable attack halves from KC in the past. 9 versus FPX, 11 versus Heretics when they played in EMEA. Even still, though, FUT going to try and not get them back. And we have reached the dessert, the final page of the CNED strat book, because he's currently going towards C.
Yeah, a little different flair to this round for him. Wouldn't be surprised if he dives into C and they go plant A. There's a little bit of a lurk battle going on for Yedege. Shin's locking down the A side of the map, trap covering the B aggression. And this scrap here is just to take the utility out of their hands on a side of the map where they know there's so much to play with, and that Paranoia will get nothing but the information that there's a player there. Shin staying close though, in this case drops, it's all on the line! Both players jumping, but Yedege's a little quicker to find that. And now they can look towards this A site, seeing it's wide open, but seeing even more so that the rotates are coming through. The site's being given up on C. The wall from Magnum gives him an angle. He's using it against them. The battle for CNED though. He completely distracts them as they look for the fight on the players entering site. CNED's there behind, giving them a fright and leaving Narrate all alone. 3 kills for the Jet in the final round and 9 for FUT as we close out the half. This is a beautiful attack side, and I'm already thinking about Breeze. Even if KC win a pistol, odds are they won't win the second.
Like, yeah, I'm looking at this right now as well. Like, this is a huge win for the just put CNED on Jet gang.
Right?
I know that Sue had a big whiteboard, but a lot of what he's been doing is just. But as said, their comp has just created irritations, and on an individual level, he is also popping off.
You know, not to say that CNED wouldn't do this on other agents, but the thing that I love about him on a Jet is, like the fight up against the AWP, that had nothing to do with Jet. He just wide swung, shot an AWP in the head. That's how he does it. But is he going to do that on some other agents? If you're a Sage doing that off rip in the round, what are you doing, bro?
Well, we saw that. He sometimes would, like, he'd take a fight, win the fight, and then he'd die because he's trying to put a Sage wall up.
Yeah.
Whereas now, just don't have a Sage wall.
And this is it. Like, when CNED has less to think about, he does a lot more because he just shoots better than 99% of the players out there. That's
not the right though. And actually, I think that was more.
There were 4 people.
That was Magnum hits the thing. I was about to say a frenzy from there already is looking much better. Just an absolute blitz in towards this A site in the pistol round for the side of KC.
10-4. 10-4 it is.
For God's sake.
I mean, Sue had her fun fact up earlier, and it is 3 out of 3 so far. When FUT lose the pistol, 100% of the time, they win the follow-up.
The stat has to end sometime.
It does. It does.
And the pistol round isn't over yet, you know? Still got the Sage wall.
How about now?
The Rain looking like he might just close this one out. There you go, now it's over. And Andaluthia flawless to take themselves out. And Andaluthia flawless.
Okay.
There was a star on the mic, you know?
Oh, yeah, I heard it. I heard it. Loop back, feedback, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, look, Andaluthia flawless, clean as can be. I'm scared about this follow-up round, man. I'm very scared.
That's not happening again.
Defensive side.
It's already not happening.
So what we've seen from KC as well is good info taking early round. I doubt they run into a stack. In fact, they won't run into a stack. I'll say that almost as a guarantee because there's no stack. It's a 2-1-2. They will play this low buy round like it's a normal round.
They just have to be careful of this. The CNED Marshall, so you got to be kind of careful of that because he's quite good with snipers.
He's all right. Yeah. He's known for hitting a few shots.
At least a 6 out of 10.
Now, the sniper on the other side isn't a Marshall. It's an outlaw, and nobody has shields. So effectively, a double shot op, a double barrel operator to work with. Very strong, quick reloads. But again, on this map, with the way FUT are playing, they're tucked in a lot of closer angles. They're not going to give those opportunities away quite as easily. There's 3 players, and now sort of is a stack on A that they're running into, but up against those weaker weapons. KC have the advantage, extended with cracks falling, and eventually they'll finish off Yedeje, approaching every fight with a sense of caution, and this is why they've ended up back in a 2v2, and Captain's Classic is still alive. What's happening? How is CNET getting 3 in this round? They've no idea where Captain is, and he's cut noise just in time. That Classic has crushed the dreams of teams before, and it may just do it again with Magnum not exactly low, but with 30 seconds left, Tom, he has to plant that spike. He has to give it away.
30 seconds
the turret
left.
will help him at least lock down some control.
I got the spike.
Be anywhere at this stage. Slight upgrade of the rifle. The information will be there. Snake bite in, but Magnum just used it as bait. Finally, the curse is broken, only just, as they will manage to win themselves a second round, but you can still see the happy face of CNET at least. He's done so much damage in that round. He's now 3 orbs away from having Bladestorm, and they're going to come in with a 4-buy. Like, they have made things so costly that this might just have to be a weak-ish bonus round now for KC, because they only saved forward that 1 gun.
Well, that's it. You know, FUT's record is now no longer 100%, 75, another 25%. They're leaving you with 1 player left alive.
Yeah.
So either they get a huge economic advantage or you get a huge economic disadvantage. I'll take it either way. CNET's still here. He's pushed wide. Captain's baiting for him. They're not anticipating another player here. And he's not being caught by the boom bot, but he dashed out. He gave it up. A rare passive play from CNET, and well, it'll leave them without the opening pick for now.
Similarly to what we saw on the other side, though, Magnum has used this to take a lot of control. Tomazi already tagged down to just 17 HP, and I already see at least a couple of players around this angle. You're going to have the HP of Captain back up to fall as well as they look to enter into the site. They had themselves that Nightfall, but already Yedeje is going to put 1 in the dirt, a second as well, even the low HP and blinded up. Yedeje is still putting up numbers. Leaving the remaining 3 just to potentially try and fall back with the door opening. You're going to see still a player around that B site, Mr. Farland waiting if they try and double back in that direction. And even CNET on C.
Covering all their bases in case it's a fake, and with so little noise being made, eventually someone's going to peek out for a little bit of information. Looks like that will come through on the defensive side, and for the defensive side, timing almost caught cracks off, but he had backup on the back of the site. 10 rounds now for FUT, 5 for KC. Swing round coming up with the investment of that attacking side, and we get a real test for them. But they've had a lot of success, even on this round, in pushing their opponents back and making FUT play on the side. I question if we'll see the same thing now that there's rifles for both sides. I expect aggression from this defense.
Well, in fact, they're going to take them.
There's a lot of benefits to that, as we can see. I do want, like, I don't know. This composition from FUT, it's working. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know that we're going to see Sage be such a key part of other teams' comps. But to each their own, and for FUT, it's functional. CNET running his dash down, Captain's been spammed through that smoke. They might want to quicken the pace. The dash heard on its way back. FUT have tripled up this round, though. It's a slightly different setup with the Cypher now sitting on the side of Cam, up close to get the information, and then even closer, Yedeje tucked on the corner. So your points of contact are going to be seeing CNET, seeing the Cam, and then probably focusing on CNET on the way back through. Good opportunity for Yedeje to pick up a lot if KC go this way. And looks like it will.
He's also put his trips across the map. So like, he's basically just the info finder for the team. 1 towards A, 1 in B, and then he himself on the C, the entire map covered. But as we've said before, KC with a man advantage are normally pretty good. They've cleared out Yedeje already. As said, he's been a danger man and also got the information onto CNET. This after plant should be in, and well, for the side of FUT, it's now a question of how much do you believe in a 3v5 retake?
It's just one of those missed calls. There's no way for FUT to know what was about to happen, but they decide to gamble on the other side, pull CNET offside. He can't destroy the Prowler. He can't draw their eye on the way through, and he can't support his teammate as he goes down. Those numbers for KC looking strong. Credits riding a little low for FUT. If they get an opening pick, they could go for it, and there it is, Martine. The first to be dropped. HP low on a lot of these players. still committing to this. I mean, that time, Tom, seems to be ticking away a little bit too quickly, and now Mr. Fallen wants to get out of there. He's Mr. Fallen back.
Yeah, well, he has to say. They need at least one gun to be onto the board, otherwise financially they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. For CNED, I don't necessarily mind the push, because he wanted to maybe get some extra kills, find an extra 1 or 2, and that'll be enough to get the Blade Storm in.
Yep.
But I don't think he's quite managed to get there, so they will at least be able to put something onto the board for this round, but it's definitely not the prettiest of pictures.
Overall, round 16 just saw this be Narrate's round, essentially. He catches the player close with the Prowler, Haunt on site, gives away the players that are coming in to rotate, and then the late Haunt gets so much value, responsible for both of those Wallvan kills we saw come through. 10-6, 4-round gap. It's winnable for KC still. Coming out of their pause, they'll still have some tricks up their sleeve. In fact, the round's already kicked off as we see the aggression from KC met by Cracks, and he finds a bullet from Shin.
It just puts his life on the line. It's Martin who's had, honestly, a cursed game so far. Last fights versus CNED full sprint, and he will fall again, and a lot of that is going to take away what they have in terms of him entering into the site. It's probably why we've seen more from the rate in terms of those space taking and control. But again, we have this early stack up and more of that Cypher utility just being put into play across the rest of the map. It leaves a solo player over on C and a walk up into the B site. Sure, it'll be met with a cam, but it won't be met with any other resistance.
Yeah, there's no one to follow up on that information. In fact, the cam, there we go. It's revealed them, and it'll stay dormant for now. They haven't spotted where it is. Oh, now they have. And for what purpose? I suppose they could already hear them planting. I don't know. Seems like a waste of some post-plant utility, but looks like they've got that information to play with either way.
A little bit more aggressive post-plant. It's put CNED in an awkward spot, but he hasn't taken any damage. Ada Captain, however, has. He will beat that player coming in from behind as well. The turret attempting to be surpassed. Hasn't gone fantastic either. Mr. Fallen's position is definitely known, and there's a stack up of players on the other side. Utility denying Yedajay from really doing anything on the plant, and the post plant from KC is nigh on perfect. FUT don't even get remotely close to defusing that spike. And I do think they might have to change up the way they're playing this defensive side, because just allowing one site open every time, I don't think you can give that to KC.
Yeah, I mean, they barely got within arm's reach of the spike in the end, so I doubt they're going to be sat there thinking, yeah, you know what, our retakes might be the way to play this. And for KC, they always have that little bit extra to play with.
What?
Mainly thanks to that guy. I don't know how Narrate is able to find value in a lot of these positions, but he does. Great utility usage the round before. BS spams this time. Either one works.
The replay showed that he must have just seen the smallest of pixels of his opponent about to come around the corner.
I couldn't see it when it was paused, so fair play to him. Eyes like a hawk.
There we go, though. No purchase this time, only CNED. Only. He always seems to be a menace. Nightfall plays through, but it hasn't really connected onto anybody. They are still going to continue their push. Cracks was the one man on the site. He has been forced back. And it looks like they might just opt to try and set up around CNED's singular rifle. He's still going strong. A second kill already in this round is starting to fall apart a little bit for KC.
Oh, there's definitely some struggles. The low buys of FUT being so deadly throughout their last series and this one. Rifle recovered for CNED. Blade Storm in his back pocket.
I'll find you.
Almost expect him to give that to Cracks. They have 3 rifles now as they set their sights on the site itself. KC very much fragmented. There's an initial duel on Narrate, unable to trade. The slow had kept them in position, and now all hope lies with Martin. Showstopper in, and it's caught a kill. The ace with the nade, the shorty, in fact, to find it. Martin was quiet, but now he's woken back up just in time.
Just when they needed it the most. He just doubled his kills in a singular round. An absurd individual show of brilliance from Martin to save them. CNED, well, he was definitely a worthy opponent in this one. They've managed to find a multitude of openers, but every single piece of utility put into play, even with a shorty to end it. And if you're ever questioning whether or not KC or broken or battered, that will be enough to bring anyone back from the depths.
2-round gap, so winnable. Quick play by Martin, but it's shut down immediately. Shot out of CNET, doesn't land. But with Martin down, the rest of the players are a little further back. The wall won't keep them out for very long. It does allow a little bit of a reposition from Mr. Fallen, who's close and ready to fight. Sneak through from Tamazi as we're on board with him. Viper's Pit's blocking out B, but it looks like they'll bypass that with a crunch from Spawn and from the connector. The idea here, hopefully, Tamazi can pick them up as they move into position. The rotates out of the A site, being watched, and he's turned at the wrong moment! That timing is abysmal! Surely Magnum, though, the second surprise element as they rotate back to the A site, he can get a beautiful flank. Everything comes down to timing for him with the player coming behind, and it's only a matter of time till he turns, but never mind. Yedajay wins the fight anyways, and will spam through under the rate. It's Shin left alone. 1 man against 5 from FUT. A near impossible clutch, and well, he can take the bragging rights back from Martin if he wins this one. The spike down in the open. Next to no information and 30 seconds left. It looks like this one is already in the bag with an 11-8 scoreline. We could even ask the question of how much damage can he do, but the answer to that is 0.
Yeah, and Andaluthia flawless to put things onto the board. It truly is just absurd. Some of the positions that are being held. That's the thing. I think FUT gave up a lot of control in this one, but they knew exactly where it was left. And while I think Martin, clearly feeling confident off the play of the last round, went for something super aggressive and just unfortunately lost his life for it. Everything else after that was just a domino effect. 11-8. Finance is once again problematic. The ults, at least for KC, a couple of them, Viper's Pit, Lockdown, not far from being online. And it seems like they might go for a little bit more of the same. Some early control, but just look at CNED. Again, just going walkabouts. It means they can gamble players immediately onto the other side of the map.
Ping out of KC on C as well. Seems like they're quite aware of that aggression potentially coming through. It will be watched by Magnum as he covers B, and I think his turret's watching behind him. So these players can make noise on A, and that's all this is. They're trying to be loud and trying to drag those rotations that have come in again and again, trying to get that flank underway so it can be capitalized on by Magnum. Maybe someone comes up on B and pokes their head around, and he can rip it right off and get a straight play through connector to B. It's not a bad idea, but it hasn't found value. Eventually, they've got to go for it without the picks, and it'll be door open and B blitzed.
Close angles cleared. Boombot will do that.
On to him.
Ready throwing the extra U2. Again, that cam, similar place as what we've seen it before. By the looks of it, might just have to be a full-on retake here. The Viper's Pit will be utilized. Now, those stingers are going to be even more fearsome up close, but Krags isn't shying away from a fight. It's an awkward one, but he still manages to win it. Ada Captain's found Tamazi as well, and somehow, from what looked like it could be dangerous, FUT make that look easy.
The Viper's Pit down on the side as well. The fact that they deal with that, I didn't catch who found the kill.
Ada Captain.
It was Ada Captain. It must have been a blind spray.
I don't know if it was because they were being pushed from behind. Maybe Tamazi went forward a little bit.
Let's see.
It was Cracks going through.
No,
yeah, it's there. It just spam. Okay, nice.
Again, Tom, though, how many times do we see this? The attempted spam by a weapon that gives tracers. If you're the Viper, that's a death sentence a lot of the time. The last thing you want is to be flagging like, I'm over this direction, guys. Just fire back. Oh, nice shot.
Leg shot him.
5 HP already. Can't catch a break. Well, at least now CNET's missed a shot.
Well, I know who can't go through that snake bite.
You should run.
It's already, that was one of the weapons they've had. They've had to hand it over on the other side. Lockdown is going to be put into play. Doesn't seem like FUT are going to over-rotate just yet. Still wary that this is a ruse, and CNED was trying to just hit the shot. Will be detained, but they're not going to mind too much, especially without a captain doing that. And they thought they had a way into the site. The man just disrespected him. He was CNED's defender. CNED would have died if he went down as well. A ludicrous display from Ada Captain. And maybe the end of the map.
It doesn't even stop them from going backside because you have someone like Shin who's shrouded stepping past the snakebite. He can get there early. So for him to just run out like that is ludicrous. But it works. Of course it does. This is FUT we're talking about. 5 versus 3, 5 HP on Martin.
Oh,
He's
no.
out, and it looks like just Tamazi, the last man standing and the last to fall in this game. At least on this map, Breeze is
30
up next.
seconds
If FUT secure a 13-8. And my, what a map that will be. 20 seconds left and an op staring down at him. It's a round and map win for FUT. 13-8. They trade each other's picks, and we go all the way to the decider.
To win a match. They put CNED back on Jet. They're just going to play their comfort picks, and they ended up winning. So I'm not going to doubt them at this stage. They haven't played this map. They've come in with a fairly basic comp, but they are also comfortable agents. Crack's going back to his trusty KO and playing a mirror matchup. It might just come down to who's better individually rather than the comps. CNED leading the charge, back on his Jet. That might just be enough.
It's enough to win my heart, Tom, for whatever that counts for. Already some decay with the walls, but no bullets landed just yet. This is a frankly disgusting position from Yedege. And he's got them by surprise, but
what?
Martin somehow wins that fight. Ever vigilant with a reflank up through tube. Advantage sits towards the defenders, and KC have been pretty good at getting back into sites. Limited utility as they make their way back through. It's a pistol round after all, and maybe FUT can just run down that clock. As KC tapped the spike, someone needs to swing to check it's not being stuck, and it comes at the cost of their life each time, halfway already, and now they all look to duel on the side of KC, knowing that Out of Captain's the last alive. The snake bite will soon fade, as Out of Captain's life force does too. 1-0 goes to KC. Tom, you know what that means.
Yeah, I definitely think on this map it's going to be more difficult, but I think if there's expectations, maybe CNED can come in with a Marshall. I think that would be the one thing that can turn things. I like this though from Casey. I think especially Martin getting off to a good start, I think is going to be important. Like, he is someone who had a quiet last map. The stats sort of show you that he had an okay game statistically, but it was one round and an ace, and then everything else was a bit of a miss from him. And now, well, the real question is how to FUT win a map without a Sage, because they've been consistently running it. I would have been very upset if they brought it in on this map. And they've actually gone for a second Marshall. Mr. Farland's going to be pulling one in as well, so doubling up the potential damage with the snipers. Not this time though. CNED gone.
Well, this is it. The last map, you know, when you take an outlaw, you're sectioned into one side of the map. They go elsewhere. It's going to be tough for you to find impact. Map like this, though, plenty of open space for Martin to be playing with. That's exactly what he's doing. They're doubled up, though. 2 Marshals in a firing squad waiting for the peak to come in from Martin. Eventually, they'll back out. In fact, that timing, perfect. Because Martin won't get another chance. FUT have been great on the low buy rounds. Losing CNED early on, you know, that was one of the main things you said. CNED on the Jet, maybe he can make it work. Maybe that Marshal can come in huge. Well, we'll have to in the hands of Yedege and Mr. Fallen, who's got an opportunity, but a pixel robs him of that chance.
Oh, it seems like he might have got positioning. Gonna try and almost confuse him a little bit. Nice shot from Yedege. Maybe this round still has a little bit of life in it. Retrieving the gun seems like an improbable possibility, but now they've killed off. Where was that? Was all the way in mid. That was a wall bang to kill off another. I don't know how they managed to make these ones competitive every single time. It almost seems like it might be worse an eco for FUT and just play into the second round. A very passive position, an almost crossfire, but the timing hasn't gone great, but it does work out for Yedege. An extra couple of tags, every little will help. He is damaging every single player, but it still comes down to just cracks. Has to try and hold on to this. A couple low, but they are clearing him out of position. Just 48 HP, and the healthy Shin will be there. Thankfully, this time, the second round, it's almost going to be one with 3 players as well. Magical.
Big improvement up against FUT. That stat finally being crushed, as it deserves to be. They had no right to find so much success in those early buy rounds.
60%, right? It's still pretty
damn good. It's still very good. And remember, one of the rounds, they got it down to 1 player alive. And we saw that economical impact as the rounds went on. So,
Nice.
yeah, they've been good early, but now on the last map of the series, Curse is broken. KC 2-0, clean follow-up round, and now a bonus with a lot of potential, especially with Martin on the outlaw. Tagging up these players will make it so much easier for Narrate or Magnum to finish them off, as well as obviously the Bulldogs on Tamazi and Shin. Ton of potential, and somewhere that FUT need to be very cautious right off rip.
Right here.
Straight away,
Revealing area.
I'm going to see the close angle cleared by the fragment. Just basically, they're reducing the positions where CNED could be stopped from. Same with the shock dart over the back. And this post plant already in effect. Not been anything really able to deny it. A few counter pieces of utility. The drone, not even used in the take. The drone is used in the post plant. Krax, however, has been hit. You mentioned that outlaw. He's on 10 HP.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything's going to take him down now. We need to see the fights come through, though. CNED onto Tamazi. It's a clean trade, but KC are closing the distance. That's all they want. That's an ambitious peak. The idea being that Magnum could trade. He got one, no follow-up on it. And the shots landing make it ever more difficult for KC to find any value with Shin on 1 HP. It's a quick and clean follow-up from FUT. 3 players alive and 3 rifles carried through to the next. Great work, by the way, from Jack Igo. I like that third-person angle we saw coming over, because that nade from Krax not only clears the position for players, it also got rid of the trap. And that's huge, just to shut down that little piece of utility that could cause so many problems on the way through.
Either way, that was the bonus coming out from KC. So they're going to have a rifle purchase. Outlaw has changed sides, although it's mainly because of the lower finances available for Mr. Fallen. Maybe expecting some level of aggression for the defense. It does seem like they might be pressuring early into A main. We've already seen the knife go over, but with no one spotted, the space will be taken by Shin. And instead for Martin, he's already going to be rotating back. Middle control almost left completely open. This could be problematic. There is a cam watching, which will be immediately destroyed. And now the pressure is in on that B side once again.
Still a trap on site for Tamazi, but how's he getting out of this one? Hunted down by Mr. Fallen. But the kills have come in across the board. Yettage and CNED have been lost. Big players for the side of FUT. Now another hero has to step up, and they better step up quickly. The spike's being dropped in the open, and now it's fully secured by KC. 4 versus 1. Mr. Fallen would be one hell of a clutch with the outlaw. Be one for the books. He won't land even the first. Yeah, now right was 150 coming out. 3-1. KC right back on the board. A blip for FUT, and they're back out.
Yeah, it definitely. It's the quick rotations, I think. Just getting that early information in towards A main allowed them to go and reclaim some of that mid control.
I can't aim, but he can't either. All good. All good.
It's impossible not to love him. Like, and he's off to a much better start as well. Like, we saw him have a resurgence after what was a bit of a quieter first map for someone of Narrate's standards. But that's the thing, though. Again, we see both the players on the KOs comfortable. This time, Martin immediately taking that control. Hunter's Fury actually used here. Now, bear in mind, this is a low buy round for the side of FUT. And a tasty shot from Martin. Definitely seems to have got his confidence back. The flash is going to be dodged by Tamazi. I've been enjoying seeing his Cypher play since he's brought it in. At least at kickoff, he was mostly sticking to that Viper. But showing that little bit of extra depth now to his agent pool.
Did CNED? Yeah. He popped the Blade Storm. I heard the voice line activate, and I thought, is it Martin in a 5v2? Surely not. But CNED in a 2v5, it tracks. It's a FUT play. It's a CNED play. But, well, let's see what he can do. 50 seconds. The all-purpose EMP had landed on Tamazi earlier, but obviously now that trap is back online on B. The cam is there, and there's a 2-man rotate to help him out. They're choosing, I was going to say the right side of the map if they go A to at least get a plant and post-plant. But it looks like they want to fight. Right now, those opportunities are not being given away by KC. With a retake A setup, we may still see the plant come through, but it's following up on it that'll be the real challenge.
Yeah, at this point, it seems like they're more than happy to give up the plant, but I am sort of...
Oh, he made noise. He made noise again.
See that. We've seen him do so many magical things and then can't jump up the boxes. Somehow I imagine that's going to be in the replay, but For now, at least, he's looking for rotations, desperately hunting for some sort of fight to give Anna Captain. He's even going to be pinged up. They now know where he is, but it doesn't matter. Anna Captain now finds another somehow again. In these lower rounds, it becomes competitive, but putting CNED in the dirt, that is all they really need. Narrate will deny. And all the danger quickly dissipated. It does mean the economy's not going to be built up quite as far. And well, for FUT, a few extra credits, a few extra orbs, I guess, but not too much in this round.
I think that's quite funny as well that yeah.
Happens to everyone. That's the thing.
It does. Even seen it. That makes me feel good, to be honest. One of the things is looking at Tamazi on the B side. He gets hit by that EMP. The knife grabs him, so all his utility's down. And you've seen him change his trap positions a couple times, and the last 2 rounds in particular. Now that one's coming back, because this is the trap that we saw. I'm going to just highlight it for a sec. This is the one that we saw be destroyed by that nade through. It hadn't been placed for a while. It lets FUT get better positions. But even despite moving his traps out of the way, taking his traps offline, he still grabs 2 kills, stays alive for the late round. That's a disaster. FUT can't allow that to run, and instead, they're going to be going back to B to finish what they started. Tamazi, they don't want to let him out of here alive this time. It's Ada Captain that might have the chance to... Oh, no, never mind. The dash in from CNED. He's going in with an op in hand on the close range angles. The Blade Storm from Martine's grabbing something, but Nare down to the op as CNED doubles up and gets a little ambitious.
One enemy
Ada
remaining.
Captain in the corner. CNED will close it as well, and in the end, it is FUT to just basically hold on to the advantages that they took. It's a similar round to what we saw previously, but this time having an operator. And also, I don't think the rotations were quite as quick for the side of KC. Obviously, I think last time it was Narrate being able to flash back through mid and catch them in the flank. Instead, though, this time, I think just being able to isolate that duel onto Tamazi quick enough. And again, just some fantastic utility. I think it was from Mr. Fallen.
Oh, nice shots by CNED as well. And all that chaos, all that action allows Ada Captain to creep up close. Much better round from FUT, a lot of success. Early knife gets nothing. Sets up for the aggression of Martine, but they pull back. 4 players on A here, you gotta do something. The B side is exposed, but most importantly, mid is left wide open with that concentration of players. Spotted one inside main with the drone, but it's the mid push that I'm most concerned about. Both Shin and Martine going out to try to find the duel, at least the trade, and in fact, it's a clean one with a big piece of utility removed from FUT's belt early on in this round.
That's definitely going to make any sort of A play nigh on impossible. Instead, the reliance, again, seems to be on CNED. Util will be offline. I think he must have popped the cage just before, though. And that is actually going to buy just about enough time. Walks back into the ping as well. So they're going to have the information. There are a couple of other players on the map. And the spike is now rotating seemingly in towards A. But they haven't cleared anything out. 35 seconds left on this clock. A close position as well from Magnum.
30 seconds left.
It just has to be a fight here.
Even if you get the first, there's backup, not just in Martine. Even if you get him, there's backup, because Shin's here too. Spam gets Magnum, drone eventually goes out. 2 players coming to reinforce this push, but no Viper Wall. They've got to take the fights in the open. 14 seconds left. Time really starting to run down, and not much of a reveal here. Martine, 8 seconds. He just needs to deny this, and he'll go for it. A kill quickly found. A shot from CNED might keep them back for a moment. Put some hesitation into play for these defenders until he's dropped. Great shot by Tamazi on the flank. The narrated already cleaned up Mr. Fallen seconds later. 5 on the board with the defuse secured, and the lead even further in KC's pockets.
This round was just a bit more perplexing. I don't know if the side of FUT had just thought they'd pulled off an impeccable fake by having a couple of players hit by the knife. Maybe you think, okay, well, they've seen the fact that we have KO over on B, so we'll just walk into that A site and there'll be nobody there. But KC, I don't know why they would have gambled it. They didn't manage to push Tamazi into any awkward position. He didn't see anyone on the site. No one even touched his cage, so he's now got all of his util back online, information and support from the rate. So I don't know why FUT thought they'd managed to pull everybody off of that site, but it almost just looked a little bit panicky towards the end. Now, coming back in. Martin's going walkabouts. Has an operator of his own. Magnum also going pushing, and it's a snap from Yedege. Just that little bit quicker on the reactions.
That gets them a lot of info too. 3 players towards this spawn. They know they can isolate Tamazi. Pressure him back, spam him up. He's 30 HP as he rounds the corner to safety. Won't be too impactful in the late fights by the looks of it, and there'll be no utility for a little while as the spike eventually gets planted. For KC on the way back through, Martin's going to hope to find an angle with the operator. I think probably the point of contact for this defensive side will be him. Scoped in, looking for something. Yedege still lurking. They're wise to it. They're clearing it, but not good enough. Yedege has been unbelievable, and off that alone, they will fall back and concede this round. 5 versus 3. Damage done to Tamazi, and a valuable op still to be saved.
Yeah, of course, we haven't seen a mass amount of KC's attack because of their dominant defensive side when they played up against a GX in week number 1, but we know that their defense is impeccable when it came to picking up a lot of those rounds, and especially with the pistol. FUT managed to keep this one competitive. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to shut down any of those weapons, but again, a slightly more direct approach seems to be the name of the game for them at this stage, and they haven't managed to retrieve that operator. But to be honest, I don't really mind it. I think having CNED as the tip of the spear is a little bit more important than him being able to find those openers with an op.
This goes here.
And for Martin, he's at least going to get his back into play for this next round.
This
but
is a nice spot. This goes here.
We'll see if it's going to be able to have that same impact. Seems like he's going to try and roam around mid after FUT have had a couple of rounds where they've been able to take that control.
Offside play as well for Tamazi, so he won't get hit by the knife. Gets hit by the knife.
3 people did.
That's a reposition from that utility, and Krax has found a gold mine, putting some pressure on B, but there's no one there to capitalize on it. Instead is some fake control as they spread out and look for individual fights. Looks like Ada Captain found his.
I can see the frustration in the cam as well from Martin. You just got me fuming. It just gets insta-popped.
Cage.
The captain has gone down early in a lot of these rounds. Instead now, again, the pressure comes on to the young man from Portugal, trying to hold the backside, and it's close, but no cigar. In fact, they're all dropping like flies. Narrate tries to get back in and help, but he's a little bit late. CNED may go down to a shot, don't know. It's instead going to bounce onto Krax, who's taking a lot of damage. And actually, with Magnum finding another, if this kill goes the other way, this is starting to fall apart.
37 and 11 HP, Tom. 2 players extremely low, and both are the ones on site, isolated by this Viper wall. Magnum, he snuck around up close, but the shot is found too quickly, and the flank from Yedege locks in the win. FUT with 4, and that 5-3 lead, or 5-2 lead, quickly closes in on KC. Now FUT are right behind them.
Yeah, it looked like that was going to be an overheat round. I almost think yeah, you've just got to see how frustrating that is, and you understand why. CNED as well, just about scraping through with his fight. And yeah, they almost got caught out, but managed to weather the storm. Weaponry now starting to be an issue as well for KC. Like, this has been such a great early start to this map, with a back and forth ultimately being in their favor. But if they lose this next one, they could be in a bit of trouble.
Could definitely start to slip out of their hands. Surprised to see risks like this being taken. Martin got dunked on last round up in window. Now he's pushed up to play behind the box. It's not an easy position to find value from. Often the 1 kill and then you go down. And that's if they decide to push it together. Flash thrown deep. I don't think it's going to catch him. Now Martin's still good, tucked in this corner, and there's no fights elsewhere for KC. In fact, there'll be no fight here. Backing off, I was expecting CNED to barrel in towards it. Instead, they'll move towards the B site again. The knife from Krax. Remember, Tamazi repositioned last round to avoid it. And he's getting hit by it again. And it's hunting him down every single time, and now revealed, and oh my. I mean,
everything.
A Hunter's Fury and a nade, a dash in from CNED. There was nowhere to go.
No, he even gets pinged by the dart as well, so they knew exactly where he was. No surviving that one.
Welcome to my world.
They're even going to throw in the Viper's Pit up close. I don't even know if he'll be needed. CNED just kills everybody. Martin trying to fight back, but he will find Only the two. Again, the thing is, FUT, they adapted their take once more into this B site. And I think it must just be so confusing for Martin. The last couple of rounds, almost every round, they've gone for splits through mid. They've taken mid control. Captain popped his head. We've had them run up. They won the first time they did it. The next time they got caught by CNED going that way. This time, they do the exact same strat, but with no mid control. So you had all that information from our team probably going, well, I don't...
Just the knife. It's also like the nade to take his trap down. And there's just so many...
Yeah.
Every time he tries something, they're ahead of him. It's like they can see what he's doing.
Now, the one thing that could pad the gap here a little bit is the fact that they do have ults. You've got yourself the Blade Storm thrown in immediately. Martin's like, right, this time they're not mid, I'm telling you. And well, I'm sure Narrate probably agrees. Hunter's Fury is going to help out massively. They're trying to use these ults to pad the gap, but CNED has now popped one of his own. He realized what's going on a little bit earlier than anyone else.
Oh, that flash is perfect, Martin. He had no chance with the pop from Krax. Krax's utility is just out of this world. You see why we talk about this guy on the KO. He might have lost his life here, but the trades make it worthwhile. Leaving only Tomazzi, and they take him 1 by 1. Red Bull clutch as Carmine Corp keep the lead.
If you don't head to B, he'll come to you. Finally, he got some fights that were a little bit fairer. Them both having guns and him having a sheriff. Yeah, fairer than what he's been up against so far. Even still, what a huge round. It was the ult spam. It was what they threw in, but ultimately, it came down to this man. Just popping heads. Oh!
And that was a much needed round as well. Secures Economy gets an op online from Martin coming into the final round of the half, and FUT could be trailing by 2. It's been a pretty close game with KC being tailed by FUT again and again. It looks like we might close out that way, at least if KC have their way about it. Viper's Pit already activated, and there's traps ahead of it. And the trap user is on the other side of the map, so hopefully won't get hit by the knife. Really strong setup on B.
Somehow he always does, though. He's like a magnet.
It's gonna land on his head.
Martin also, I was about to say, has not been having much success with the op. He's been better with the rifle. Every time he's had the operator, it seems like he's been slaughtered. And well, this time, again, something he probably didn't expect was Mr. Fallen coming in with an op, solo peeking him, and managing to win the fight. It's left Magnum isolated, taking a lot of spam. He was hoping he could maybe find the plant. Instead, he's found everything else. Welcome to Tomazzi's world, Magnum. Every single piece of utility. But they still haven't managed to get that plant in. Shock darts still available. Magnum, I don't know where he's going to get to use them. And instead, Captain now splitting him from the backline is going to make things just that little bit worse. Even still, though, KC are clinging to life. The fight back not going to happen as Yedajay comes through, and now Shin left in a clutch.
At least we'll catch all his kills this time. 1 versus 2.
You get off that first cam now.
Mr. Fallen and CNED sitting around with the information to work with. He's still around here as the recon gets destroyed. The wall cutting it up only beckons them forward. Double peek through it for 6-6. A tied up scoreline at the halftime. It's hard to separate these two teams. We found that out in the first 2 maps. That's why we're here. We're neck and neck, even still.
This is just my favorite thing about this is I feel like throughout this entire series, Martin has probably just had so many unexplainable deaths. Like, it's like, oh, how did you die this round? Well, there was a cloud burst, and Captain shot 1 bullet through it and killed me in the head. Okay, well, okay, you hold aim with an operator. Mr. Fallen, yeah, well, the Sova player, he solo peeked me with no utility with an operator. Has he played operator at all? No, just this round. He just decided to buy one and kill me with it. Like, he just got to be sat there going, yep.
Should have seen that coming, mate.
Yep, yeah, cool, nice one. Dead either way.
It's funny because Krax is on the bottom of the scoreboard, and yet I think he's had the most impact. It's not even like 3 assists. It's not about that. It's the utility stripped away. It's the lack of impact Tomazzi's been allowed to have in a lot of rounds where he would have walked away with so much more if it wasn't for that annoyance. Some really nice setups by FUT to claim space, but even still, they end up neck and neck. Now on their defense, you best believe they're still going for aggressive plays. This is FUT we're talking about. 3-man push, and that timing could not physically be any better. If you choreographed it, they are slipping right behind them. Will they see them? No, there's an orb up, it's dropped, and there you go. Oh, out in the open for CNED. Easy pickings with 3 quick kills. This round seems to be done and dusted.
I swear to God, no one else's ghost works like that. Like, normally you'd see someone spam 15 bullets at the back of their head. CNED, though, it just doesn't. It doesn't miss at all! This is why you want to see this man on Jet. Don't give me a chamber. Don't give me a bloody Yoru. Put this man on Jet, and he'll take over the game.
It's what he does. It's what he always does, and there's no stopping him here today. 17 kills on this map already.
It doesn't, like, I've seen so many players up behind someone like, oh, I'm going to get him, and then you see a whole clip just shot into their butt crack.
It's the hardest shot to hit behind them. Behind 3. But you can see this guy's been hitting aim laps. Been hitting it hard. 7-6 advantage to FUT. And the buy, similar to what we saw from KC, couple rifles and an outlaw to work with. Only classics for KC. How poetic it would be if they won this round.
It would be karma.
It would be. It would be deserved.
The ultimate karma.
I reckon we'd switch to Geis, and he'd be like, "Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
We had that coming."
No, he wouldn't.
No,
he definitely wouldn't. But I like the idea of it. Unfortunately, it's not got off to a great start. Nice flash. That's something. I would have been impressed if Narrate managed to get the second one. Now, I guess the only saving grace about this round so far is, well, firstly they got 2 kills, but also CNED hasn't had. CNED hasn't had any other kills, which would put him very close to a Bladestorm, especially if he gets this kill and then defuses. Yeah, like that.
That would get him very close to a Bladestorm.
That would actually get him his Bladestorm.
Just straight up on it.
That was the silver lining before the last 15 seconds of the round.
Before he got the Bladestorm online, yeah. The highlight was he doesn't have it at least. Well, 8-6 coming into round 3 of the half. You've got a full buy for the rest of the team, a pistol in the hands of CNED, and knives floating all around him. This is a terrifying start because not only has CNED got an ace in the first round, a 2K in the follow-up, now he's got the Bladestorm to come and hunt you right down. And this buy round for KC is going to have an element of hesitation to wherever they go.
Let's put it this way. In-game, you can see his nice little shiny champions Karambit. And it's going to take a lot for someone to stop that shining, because that's for the top top fragger in the game. Mr. Fallen as well, back on the sniper. I could almost bet he's going to kill Martin. Like, you can almost bet on it. They also seem to have almost perfect timing with each other. Martin, of course, does have the rifle. CNED not seeing anything. Had a captain. Are they about to set him up? It looks like they might have a flash for this. They do counter flash, but it's not needed.
Great shutdown. Good start to the round. That defensive side aggression, expected, especially when you've got weaknesses.
Deploying drone.
And I like the KC don't jump the gun. They don't go rushing towards it. There's no plan to pick up the pace. Still 50 seconds, plenty of time to play with. And realistically for them, they just don't want to end up on the stacked site. Knife on A, that's going to keep 3 players here. That single piece of utility, Cloudburst used, Dash heard, and 2 players spotted with the knife. Huge information, but capitalizing on it is something else entirely, evidently. FUT have been shut down. This was a bonus round with some serious bite to it.
Yeah.
But, well, they've come out of that one empty-handed.
No, you could even see the FUT were willing to sort of push the boundaries, get aggressive. They do still have to be careful, though. They've kept this one nice and clean. A good way to build up the finances, but Yedege is someone that you don't really want to give anything over to. The fact is, other than the rate, they're all sat back, waiting within A main. Yedege just slowly encroaching. Doesn't have any utility to close the gap, and well, you can see that Narrate, the reason he's fighting is because he wants to get that ult. He's going to have himself the no command for the next round, and an Andaluthia flawless to get them back in contention.
Yeah, this setup was extremely nice. Not only is the initial fight for Martin, because of the angle he's on, he's not caught by that flash, but even if it does go all the way through, like you said, Tom, there was a counter flash there and ready. And that's what I'd like to see, is a team that has an idea. Okay, What tools do they have at their disposal? What are they likely to do, and how can we set up to break them when they do that? And you can see the KC were willing to wait all damn round if that's what it took. 1 round gap, full buy for both sides. The B site was very successful for FUT on their attack. They had a lot of ideas for how to get through there. You never really saw the impact you needed to coming out of Yedajay, but the traps are still online. Yedajay's on the other side of the map, so as they walk through, they still haven't realized, still haven't walked right into them. And when they do, that's the chance for Adacaptain to show up. That's Shin down on the back of some information. All thanks to Yedajay.
Spike planted.
Yeah, he's managed to give them that man advantage. Almost extends it a little bit further. Spams. Look to come through the wall, Narrate trying to play a cheeky angle, and it has worked out. Even still, though, Adacaptain there again for the trade. The flash solid, but Magnum not quite able to capitalize, and Adacaptain. We've seen an explosive first round out from CNED. Well, now, I guess the second man on the board is going to be Adacaptain, pulling up with a 4K.
Really, really nice setup. I love this idea from FUT to leave the utility on B, to have other players there, realizing that there's a good chance Narrate comes in and pops his null command, that they storm the site on the back of that. They've avoided it completely, and I'm not surprised, considering so much of FUT's attack side game plan was, let's take Tamazi's utility out. So they go, they might try to take our utility out this time. And it worked out perfectly. Like I say, I love to see teams thinking a step ahead. What are they going to do, and how do we combat that? Beautiful stuff. It's plain as day in a round like that.
Well, thankfully, because of the Flawless, there's not really any problems whatsoever for KC. And they also have a couple of ults getting ever closer. Martin's going to take the orb and get him 1 away from the Bladestorm. Magnum also 1 off that Hunter's Fury. He might be able to challenge for the orb elsewhere, but Yedajay actually repositioning his utility midway through the round. We're going to see that pop flash thrown in. I don't know if this is going to be a late lurk, because the spike is over on that A site, but they now start running it back over. There is nothing within this B site. In fact, the only trip is in case they get aggressive from mid.
They would have been shock darted on the way through, so effect is the same. It's whether they expect Yedajay to still be here. You've got to be conscious of these angles anyways. That's where the rotates are going to come from.
But it's exactly where Adacaptain was last round, so if they're not expecting it, you'd have to almost be a little bit foolish. CNED not able to connect that initial shot. Now they'll definitely know. I don't know where Shin has just died from. A straight up wallbang from Mr. Fallen, and they are now falling like flies. Every single member of KC, an attempted fight back. And Martin, he was meant to be the last man on the block. They had the sight for the majority of that round, but the rotation comes through. Shin gets wrecked. The spike gets dropped, and well, Martin has no choice but to save.
Yeah, it is the only call at this point for FUT. Double digits now secured. 3-round gap locked in. Ultis coming online. Adacaptain may even have his Viper's Pit for retake on next round. There's a lot of things stacking up against KC. And for FUT, well, been a few rounds since I've seen CNED pop off. You always know that one's queued up, ready to go.
It's been too long. It's been like 2 rounds, you know? So
yeah, that's too many. Too many for this man. A timeout is called by Carmine Corp.
Well, he looks like one of the best teams and the best players in the world.
Yeah.
20 and 11. Adacaptain's starting to wake up. Yedajay's not gone anywhere. And just look at what's in play. Narrate has a rifle. They've actually bought up another as well. One was dropped from Martin, of course. Shin has purchased one. They're taking a bit of a gamble here. It's because of this Bladestorm.
It does give him a lot of potential. Martin, oh no! He spammed down and Mr. Fallen catches the right off rip. This round just got a whole lot more difficult, and nice shot by Tamazi. That could go in a highlight reel. Problem is, they're not winning this round. Adacaptain with another 4K. Answering up with 11-7 on the board. KC are in dire straits, and they're out of timeouts. No more chances to go back and chat to Aang, chat to Zaish.
Unless FUT
it was the reveal. I didn't notice the reveal. That's absolutely perfect timing from Mr. Fallen.
The funny thing as well, I'm sure there would have been a point where maybe like a VLR forum or a Reddit thread, like towards the end of the day going, they just got carried by CNED on chat. Well, Adacaptain's ruining that now because he's actually catching up on the board. 16 and 10. He's got his Viper's Pit online. No surprises there.
Shout out our cam ops, by the way, for getting they're observing on the stage behind Ada Captain. It's kind of nuts. If I had a camera to stand behind someone, I'd pick CNED. So they really made the right play.
Yeah.
4 rounds in it. Yeah, look, this is a tough one. And for KC, putting all the credits on the line, Tom, it's the swing round. This is it. If they're going to have a heartbeat towards the end of this map, better start pumping here and now. You know, see them break through this Viper's pit? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the play. It looks like they want to root their way through middle and apply pressure from both sides. You're still going to see those 2 players in main have to contend without a captain who's been popping off.
The thing is as well, look,
That's a Vandal too, I hate that.
Look at the rotation.
Here.
Well, I guess no one died, so we would have had to basically.
Yeah, just chuck it away.
But here we go. Knife is used to try and give him a little bit of extra information. The thing is, you don't want to push into a pit anyway, but pushing into a pit versus Ada Captain, who's been so good, and the read, honestly, is sublime.
Nice snake bite.
They're going to take away the rest of his utility. The flash will help him out a little bit. Ada Captain definitely under pressure, but CNED is just watching from behind. They're finally going to get towards him, finally going to clear him out, but there's so many more players here that they have to deal with. 20 seconds left. Shin will put another on the death toll, but Mr. Farland was just hiding at the back of the site. He was waiting for his moment. And because of that, FUT are now going to get themselves to 12. As said, a map that we haven't seen them play in a long, long time. They're currently winning 6 out of their 7 defensive rounds. That is filth. Marty genuinely is the unluckiest person on the planet. Like, he's just been owned.
Tamazi might have a word or two after that defensive side with you, but I can see what you're saying, Tom.
But the thing is, at least the stuff that's killing Tomazi is really well structured and planned. Whereas Martin's like, I just got hit by an op. I've been headshot through a smoke. Like, it's just stuff that you can't do anything about.
Yeah, and Mr. Fallen as well. You're talking about the headshot through the smoke. That was Mr. Fallen's recon that got that done. Huge impact in the round that they came towards being. Even if the stats don't show it, only assists.
It depends which one we're talking about.
That's
Martin has
also
had that like 3 times.
Been a few. And then you talk about the last round for Mr. Fallen and IGL. A leader, and he leads from the front with a 3K to put 12 on the board to give FUT 5 chances to close out this map and finally have their revenge on KC, the team that ended their run to get to Madrid. A devastating blow to FUT after consistently being able to reach international events.
Hey,
Looks like they're back on form with a 2-0 start to the season. If they can get 1 more of these next 5 rounds.
Unfortunately as well, the buy stinks.
It sucks.
You've got like literally a pistol on one of the players. Now straight away, they are going to be able to take the util off this time. CNED hasn't been needing to use much of it. And the Hunter's Fury definitely helping out, giving Yedajay the extra space to just dominate again and again. He just takes over these rounds. The individuals